Good morning, ladies and gentlemen from Hawaii. This is the 2015 Ironman World Championship presented by GoPro. I am Greg Welch, and joining me always as my co-host is Michael Lovato. Mike, good morning.
Good morning, Greg. Welcome to the production that we have for you today, which is going to be very, very exciting. We've got obviously a great race coming to you live all day long from Kailua Kona.
Oh, it's going to be a great race. Let me tell you what, we have some fields to die for. This is going to be exciting all the way. So today, Mike, we've got some start times here.
Absolutely. A pro men getting underway at 6:25 a.m. 5 minutes later, the pro women will get underway. 6:55, the age group men get started. Another 15 minutes back. At 7:10, the age group women will get going. Remember, cutoff times are all assigned from those wave departures. So 17 full hours from those times is when our age groups must be at that finish line to make the dream.
Well, that's really good news, for our age group women, because it's after midnight, which never really happens. Good news for the women, not so good news for Cinderella. Talking about Cinderella, he's down in the transition right now. Matt Lieto, how are you, mate?
Thanks so much, Greg. Doing well. Cinderella, I appreciate that intro. Right now I'm down here kind of at the bike corral here for the pros. We have the men's bikes racked closest to us, the women's furthest behind. In our shot now, we have a few athletes. We have Dylan McNeese still getting ready. Boss Dieterin still getting his stuff together. Pretty well in control. Some athletes that are in here late are stressed out, getting their bikes together still. These athletes are just finding this quiet place to put their swim skins on and get ready to go. A couple things that happened today. We did have a couple late flat tires. Von Rania had a flat tire. He was able to get that switched out. McNamara actually forgot his gels, and our CEO, Andrew Messick, actually sat down on his knees and filled up a water bottle full of gels here for him. So a couple people with some mix-ups, but most people seem pretty controlled. Matt Hansen just came in and out here. He looked a little bit nervous for the day ahead, but to be expected. It's a really, really big day out here. A lot of great athletes, but right now most of the athletes clear. Nothing too hectic going on, but just a few minutes till we get our start underway here, guys.
Thank you very much, Matt. Yes, the transition looks like it's buzzing down there at the moment, and as usual, transition opens up pretty early. 4:45 they get down there and start to get body mark, Mike. Today's weather, it's going to be unbelievable. We're looking for a record-setting day. Air temperature right now, it's about 73 degrees at the moment. The water temperature is 82 degrees, 83 degrees, right on the cusp there. High temperatures are going to be 88 degrees right down here in town. The wind is going to be coming out of the northwest by 13 miles an hour. Humidity at the moment, 69-70%. But Mike, I have to tell you, we did look at that weather this morning. We've got southwesterly winds pushing the athletes out of town, and then northeasterly winds pushing them back into town. That's great news for all the athletes, including the age groupers.
Absolutely, and if forecasts are correct, which we're all trying to predict everything from the weather to the finish order, but if that's correct, we're going to have a great day very fast. And, that's always the topic of discussion here in Kona for athletes. What's the weather going to be like? What's the swim conditions like? Speaking of the swim, we want to share with you exactly what this Roca swim course looks like. It is an amazing, probably one of the best swim courses on the circuit. Let's have a close look at that Roca swim course right now.
The 2.4-mile swim of the GoPro Ironman World Championship begins on the east side of the Kailua Pier, roughly 60 yards from shore. The swim course is an elongated rectangle 1.2 miles long and 100 yards wide. Athletes swim south in a clockwise loop, keeping marker buoys on their right-hand side as they make their way to the turnaround point. Lane lines mark the channel back to the swim exit and the stairs to transition 1.
So the racers are going to face some, nice conditions out there in the swim today. We don't expect too many currents whatsoever, so it should be great. But let's go over now to the Canyon Bikes bike course, which should pose a little bit more of a challenge.
The Ironman's legendary 112-mile bike course begins with a short loop through the city of Kailua Kona before turning onto the Queen Ka'ahumanu Highway for the more than 50-mile ride to the bike turnaround in the village of Hawi. Winds along this portion of the course can blow riders over in extreme conditions, and the heat often sends temperatures above 100 degrees Fahrenheit. After the turnaround, athletes retrace their route back to the Queen Ka'ahumanu Highway and the transition area in Kailua Kona.
Yep, so the athletes then return into town today, Michael, and it's going to be a fantastic ride back along the Queen Ka'umanu Highway with a tailwind today, which is very unusual. Then they will dismount, hop off the bikes and head out onto the Newton Run course. Take a look.
The 26.2-mile marathon begins at the transition area on Kailua Pier and makes a short loop through town before the first turnaround point at St. Peter's Church. After the turnaround, athletes head north on Ali'i Drive along the coastline and up to the Queen Ka'umanu Highway for the long stretch to the final turnaround point in the Natural Energy Lab. Once back on the highway, athletes head south back to Kona and the finish line on Ali'i Drive.
So, Mike, when they get off that run course, that'll be the end of the day.
That's the end of the day. No, we have no preview for the finish line. You get to see that later today. You have to sit in, tune in all day long for that. But that's the course. You've seen this. You've watched it perhaps online before. Maybe you've been here in person. Maybe you've raced it. But those of you that haven't been here, there's a couple notable things, and we mentioned it. Greg, you brought it up just the other day, is that really hard part on the run. It's between transition 2, and the finish. Now, the whole thing's tough, but Palani is really a distinguishing point. It's about 10 miles into the race. You have to go up that very steep hill, and then you're out there on the Queen K. That's really when the race kind of gets underway, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. Helicopters are up in the sky now, indicating we're around about 20 minutes, inside of that 20 minutes away. Let's talk about our star-studded field today, Mike. Starts off with number 1, Sebastian Kinley.
Last year's winner from Germany, and then our number 2 seed was last year's 3rd place, also from Germany, Jan Frodeno.
Yeah, he's been on fire this year too, Mike.
Absolutely on fire. And then look at the 2013 winner from Belgium, Frederik van Leerde. Last year's top American, Ben Hoffman, wearing number 4. And last year's 4th place finisher, also from the U.S., Andy Potts.
Yes, Niels Fromhold was 6th place last year. Tim van Berkel in 7th from Australia. Marino van Hohenacker, we'll talk about him in just a few moments' time, from Belgium. And Brent McMahon and Timothy O'Donnell rounding out our top 10. Timothy hailing from the USA.
And these are highlighted athletes, right? These are athletes that could be putting pressure on the front of that. Of course, we did have a chance to sit down with Jan Frodeno and get his thoughts on what it's like to come into this race.
There's so many challenges, there's the issue of getting to the line healthy. There's the issue of staying uninjured, of getting fresh at the same time. Is it too much? Is it too little? The adaptation coming to the island is always very, very special, because all of a sudden you're running around and you feel like you're running up a mountain all the time, whether it's flat, downhill, whatever it is. It's just that much more exerting, I guess. And the sort of pacing, I think, will be a big, big issue for me, because so far this year, all I've done is bang my head against the wall and sort of come out good the other side. Whereas I think this wall may be a little thicker than the ones I've had.
Well, the 2008 Olympic champion and the Ironman European champion of 2015 is certainly on fire, winning the Ironman 70.3 World Championship in Zell am See, Austria, just 6 weeks ago. Our women's race, the defending champion, she's back.
Marinda Carfrae, she's won 3, looking for number 4. 2nd place last year from Switzerland, on fire. Daniela Rief is back. We've also got Jody Swallow from Great Britain. Caroline Steffen from Switzerland, never finished worse than 5th here. And our multiple, very consistent top 10 finisher from Great Britain, Rachel Joyce.
Julia Geyer from Germany, she was right up there last year. Mary Beth Ellis, a very consistent performer from the USA. Representing Great Britain is Leander Cave, the 2013 world champion. Angela Nath and Heather Wertel from Canada. And we did catch up with Marinda Carfrae as she's in search for that 4th title.
Number 4 world title would feel pretty damn good, I'm not going to lie. This year there's been a lot of talk around Daniela, and being the 2-time defending champ here, I'm not the favourite, which always seems to happen every year, which is fine by me because that gives me more fuel for the fire. But yeah, I mean, I would like to go out there and put together a fantastic performance and show everyone that I actually am good at this race.
Yes, and as Marinda Carfrey goes for her fourth world title, the KPR points ranking system goes like this. The KPR is a system that allows athletes to qualify for the Ironman World Championship. Top 3 races earn points for the KPR. 5 regional champions automatically qualify, Mike.
That's right, and the points breakdown, this race here assigns 8,000 points for next year's qualification, and then, of course, our big regional events give 4,000. The Ironman qualifying event, all the other Ironmans around the globe, they give 2,000 points. We just, looking at that, we looked at Marinda Carfrey. She didn't have to qualify. She had an automatic bid, just had to finish an Ironman to get back here. But of course, diving a little bit deeper into those regional qualifying events, if you won a regional qualifying event new for this year, you got a golden ticket. You got an automatic qualifier. We had 5 of those regional championships this year, and man, they were some fun races to watch. You have to go way back. We started in March down in Melbourne at the Asia Pacific Championship. That race was won by Mel Halshill from Australia, who's not here today, Greg. She had to withdraw, unfortunately, from competition. And then, of course, Jeff Simons from Canada. He is on the start line.
Yeah, well, that was a fantastic race on March 22nd. Then we went down to the African Championship a week later. That was Frederick Van Leer and also Jody Swallow. That race there, Frederick Van Leer really did signal to the world that he's back. And he, 2014 is a year that he'd like to forget, but this year he really wants it bad. And he's my dark horse again for this, podium spot. Then we were over to the North American Championship in Texas on May 16.
That's right, and we saw Matt Hansen from the U.S. win that race in style. He ran that marathon course so incredibly well. And then Angela Nath, a rookie, having come in here as an Ironman winner twice now, but she's still a rookie to Kona. She dominated that performance with sub-9 in very hot and humid conditions. So Angela Nath from Canada, definitely someone who will factor in today's. And then from Texas, we jumped on over the pond to Frankfurt, and everybody knows what happens there if you pay attention to triathlon. That's where Jan Frodeno put his stamp of authority and said, I am here, I can ride 4:08, by the way, and then run an exceptional marathon. Kinley took second to him there. And then, of course, we had Daniela Reef just run away from everyone, swim bike away from everyone, and she won that title. So those 5 regional championship winners, they all got a slot, come here automatically.
Yeah, and also the Latin American Championship. Marina Van Hoenacker and Ariane Monticelli happened in May as well, just after Texas. So that was our 5 Ironman championship races, which is always going to be a great thing. The 4,000-point races, these athletes are definitely in search for one of those victories. As you said, Mike, a golden ticket gets them right here. So the athletes right now, we're looking around downtown. It's absolutely happening right now. Thousands of people now. Mike, during the week, I noticed that there's a lot more people in town this week than I've ever seen here, spectator-wise.
Yeah, and if you're just taking a look at the cameras here, we're just getting a little close-up. That's Ben Hoffman, last year's second place. And then earlier we caught a glimpse of Tim Don, a Kona rookie, but the guy who won Ironman Mallorca last year. This is the moment, Greg. I mean, if you just take a peek at these athletes, you've been going down those steps. I've gone down those steps. It was distant history, but I remember it vividly. It's such a sense of calm as you step off those steps into the water. The excitement builds, but you're just finally there, almost to the start line.
Yes, exactly. There you can see Paul Phillips, one of our photographers down there, capturing all the moments, number 26. He's a happy camper for sure. And you know what, ladies and gentlemen, if you're out there watching right now, if you love to interact with us, social media is the place. We're on Facebook /IronmanTry, Instagram /IronmanTry, Twitter IronmanTry, and also Pinterest Ironman Try. So, race start, Mike. We're well inside of that 10-minute mark at the moment, so we're not too far away from seeing our athletes get underway. Let's go on down there to Matt Lieto, who's standing by. Matt?
Yeah, thanks so much, Greg. Yeah, down here at the swim start. If you look to my right, we've got our athletes here, our pro men, as far as I can tell right now, the only ones I see warming up. We see an athlete coming across the screen right here. They do have a couple minutes here left to go. There are a fair amount of athletes still on the beach, haven't yet quite gotten into the water to warm up, but I'm sure they'll do that shortly. Excuse us as we have this boat kind of get in front of us, but right here in front of us, this orange buoy is the start line. Greg, the conditions here right now, yeah, there's a little bit of a swell, but as far as the texture of the water, it's pretty smooth. There's not as much chop, certainly as in years past, but definitely less than last year. And I know you guys before the show, and I'm sure during already, have maybe spoken of how fast we're going to go today if there's a chance to go under course record. And often overlooked when it comes to a course record is that swim has to be really fast. It has to be a sub 50-minute swim really to have a great chance at breaking that course record, certainly near 8 hours. And I think it's good conditions today for something like that. Not amazing conditions, but I think good enough with the athletes we have today to have a sub 50-minute swim for those front swimmers. But again, a few more minutes here till the start. I'm going to let you guys take it from here. I'm going to see if we can check any athletes specifically that are swimming, and we'll meet you on the other side of the start here.
All right, thank you very much, Matt. And I don't think the record's going to go. It's 46-41 by Lars Jorgensen. We know too well, Mike, that over the last couple of years, the swim here has been, pretty tough on the way back in. The current that pulls out from the pier is wicked, and on the way back in, it gets very, very tough. And if they do, swim at sub 50, that would be fantastic. Because last year, Andy Potts just over 50 minutes.
Just at 50. And then looking again, just some history because it's fun to talk about. Lars Jorgensen was in the Olympics. He was fresh off that. He had a caliber of swimming that we haven't seen in the pro ranks. It's just not needed. So ultimately, that's where he set that bar so high. And then that was 1998. The year after, we had Jody Jackson set that course record for the women, 1999, and she did that 48 minutes, 40 seconds. So again, looking at these pictures, Greg, of the Roca swim course, I see a lot of athletes. They're all down in the water. They're getting close. The cool thing to talk about is how some of these professional athletes, they love to jump in and get a warm-up. There's a 2013 champ, Freddie Van Leerda. He's just sort of stretching the arms out, but it's just interesting. People choose to stay dry as long as they can. Others get in immediately as soon as you can and get the arms, moving. Last year's 11th place finisher, Greg, Mikey Twelsiq from Germany, one of the best cyclists in the sport. He's an overall three-time Ironman champion, but he's also just really known for being amazing on the bike.
Yeah, and there was Ivan Rania was on site. There's Andy Raylert there with Mike Twelsiq. But if I was those guys, I'd be getting in the water because we're getting nervously close to the race start. And it's always important to get out there and just thrash the arms around and get your heart rate up. Do a couple of intervals, 20-second intervals, 30-second intervals. Get into anaerobic threshold because otherwise the lactate will build up into your arms, in the early parts of the course. I think these guys, should be getting in the water. And we did see Ivan Rania. He's just stretching the arms out right there in the blue uniform you can see over there. And he's a great swimmer. He's a great biker and a great runner as well. But he had a flat tire this morning. I wonder what goes through your head when you walk onto the pier in the morning and you've got a flat tire on your bike. Do they have to reset mentally?
I think the key is focusing on not panicking. It sounds silly, but you know what? You don't want to panic. You want to remain as calm as possible. Again, you're looking at footage of the Roca swim course at the very beginning. That's Ivan Rania diving in. We've got Mike Twelsiq right here. We mentioned these two athletes. But I agree with you. There's Meredith Kessler from the United States Swinging Arms looking to have a good race here in Kona. Having not really done that, she's done exceptionally well all over the globe, a dominant athlete. But Greg, I think your point is great, and I just do want to say, some people don't realize exactly how fast they go. These men professionals, they're going to be hitting those first couple hundred meters, 105, 108, 100 pace for 100 meters. So it's a very quick pace. Crunch those numbers, run that math at about 10%. So if you're talking about a yard pool, that's like a 112, 114 pace. So folks back home, go try and hit one of those hundreds, one of them. These guys are doing that for the opening 400 or 500 meters, and they don't slow much off that. But so you're exactly right. You want to have the arms loose and ready to handle that pace. I think, again, and we'll talk to Matt down a little bit later as he sees the up-close pictures, but the athletes can usually hold on to that. It's whether or not they tolerate and clear that lactic and can remain at a high pace. So you'll see the people spit out the back, the ones that are just extended.
That was Tyler Butterfield just hanging out there, as well as Andy Raylert at the moment. And we can see that... just getting a clean set of goggles there. That was
Caroline Steffen,
Caroline
and she's
Steffen.
using our marketing director, Chris Stadler's shirt to wipe down the goggles. It's sort of funny, but that was always the thing. You got to get kind of lubed up. You put the Vaseline on, you put the body glide, all your stuff, you have to spray yourself down. But then if you accidentally touch your goggles, you're in trouble. And it's just one of those inner things. You don't want to run into that and accidentally end up with smudge on your goggles.
Yeah, you know what? Caroline looks very thin this year. She's worked out very, very hard, and she's wanting to get back onto the podium, you know, where she has been over the last couple of years as well. Last year she was not on the podium, but she wants to get back up there desperately. So we're just moments away from our men's start on the Roca swim course here in the 2015 Ironman World Championship, and very exciting times. We see Daniela Reef just heading in to the water there right now. So we're looking at all the athletes starting to line up.
Absolutely, and this is I think where athletes are just each minute is ticking by at the rate of about 4 minutes. It just feels so slow because you're in, you're ready, you're warmed up, and anyone that's towed the start line of a race that was important to them can appreciate that once you're there, you just want to get going. And so these athletes are doing that back and forth, nervous energy. You start to creep up to the line. You've got to hold your position. You look over, and there's your main rival. You kind of want to get away. You look over, there's a guy you don't want to swim with. You kind of want to get away. All that stuff is shuffling around in the brain, and you're also just thinking about the just intricacies of what was my game plan? How was I going to go out? Where was I going to tackle this course?
Yes, exactly. And also, check out Ironman.com today. You are watching live coverage, and if you'd like to see some live galleries up there, well, we're going to have all those photos up there momentarily and all throughout the day. Kona at scribblelive.com is where you want to check out some of the galleries as well. I can see Don Morali, one of our photographers down there. There he is in the wetsuit, just getting those beautiful underwater shots, and all the galleries up on Ironman.com all day long. Don't forget to follow our bloggers as they're going to be giving you all of the action today. And let's stand by right now with Matt Lieto as the national anthem of the United States is currently underway.
Hey, thanks so much, Greg. Yeah, we're down here, a little bit of a quiet moment here with the national anthem being sung. But looking to our left here, we have our athletes, a lot of our premier athletes, obviously all premier today, but taking time watching the parachuters come in. But right there we have number 3, Frederick Van Leerd. We have Lionel Sanders there. Nils Fromhold is in there. Brent McMahon is there. We have Andy Potts is here as well. We just saw Paul Ambrose. We have Dylan McNeese. Number 2, Jan Frodeno is over here. So this left side is often a side where athletes that think about tactics will kind of separate themselves from the main group. And right now we have a very, very fast, small group lined up on the left with a lot of athletes still on the right. But just a few minutes here, guys. But we can see kind of our fast swimmers on the left, and everybody's starting to jockey already. There's going to be some elbows thrown and some heels kicked here the next few minutes. But just a few minutes here before we go here for the World Championships.
There's no place like home. There's no place like home. Matt, thank you very much. On the Roca swim course, on the spot, Matt Lieto, the man on the beat. He's got TJ Tolkson also on board with him, one of our top American athletes, giving him a little help, picking out some names and numbers. Greggy, look at that sight. They're creeping a little bit in front of that line. You can't help it a little bit, but as long as all the guys are together, it tends to be okay. I see a little bit of excitement. What about you?
Yeah, the voice of Ironman, Mike Riley, will keep the athletes lined up between the 2 buoys at the moment, the yellow buoy and the orange buoy. There's loads of room here, Mike. As you can see, there's only 60 plus athletes lining up in our men's race anyway. And look at the room that they have here. Everybody can have plenty of room, lots of space to get themselves started. And it's interesting to note that no one is starting hard up against the pier today. They've all decided to start right out in the middle of the race course at the moment. So it doesn't matter if you're looking from the inside of the race course or the outside of the race course. When you draw a straight line to the turn buoy out there just after 1 and a bit kilometers, it's all the same.
Yeah, we've done the math before when you look at this, and it's just geometry here. You just run those numbers, and if you go pretty far, you're only adding a couple feet. So there's no worry. You don't have to be on that line. But we are so close right now to getting this race underway, and everybody right now is on the start line of the Roca swim course. If you're not, you're in trouble. I have seen a couple people come diving in at the last minute off the pier. Back in the old days, you used to see that, a bit of desperation, but we are 30 seconds away from the start of the 2015 Ironman World Championship presented by GoPro.
All right, let's just stand by and watch these last nervous moments before we get underway with this year's race.
Shots breaking up, shots breaking up, shots breaking up. Adana, please.
All right, so the paddle boarders are now instructed to move off the course, and there they go. They're underway in the 2015 Ironman World Championship presented by GoPro, and a clean start for our men's athletes, led out there by Sebastian Kinley, wearing number 1 today from Germany. Wearing number 2 is Jan Frodeno from Germany as well, and number 3 is Frederik van Leer. But watch out for a fast start by the USA, Ben Hoffman and Andy Potts. And don't forget about Dylan McNeese from New Zealand. There are a couple of swimmers, and also Jan Frodeno is a magnificent swimmer, second out of the water last year, and they're now underway.
Absolutely, and that is it. It's funny that you can look at, there's a fella already getting a little bit pushed around, a little bit unsure of where he should go. The funny thing is, you look at this race, it's decided it's an 8-hour event. 8 hours, 3 minutes is the record here in Kona, but in that, those couple seconds are so crucial. You can just lose a step, you can get to the wrong side of a paddleboard as it straightens itself out and you lose the position you wanted. It really does make a difference. Obviously, you can overcome that, but it's funny the way those athletes just have to find that clean water, have to find the spot they want, and then again, you're looking to your left, looking to your right, trying to find those marked men. I know Matt Lieto is down on the Roca swim course. Let's hear what Matt's seeing up close and personal.
Thanks, guys. We have an athlete off the front to our left, a little bit of a gap, but to our right here, we're going to see these two athletes. Guys, I've never seen this before, but it is obvious that Matt Sherboat is waiting for Lionel Sanders and is pulling Lionel Sanders in the swim today. Absolutely blatant, and you can do it. You can pace each other, but he is looking over his shoulder every stroke to make sure Lionel is there. But Matt Sherboat is definitely working for Lionel Sanders, who is an athlete that's going to have a slower swim generally. If he has a personal domestique throughout the swim here today, he's going to be a little bit better off. Matt Sherboat was second a few weeks ago at Ironman Chattanooga, so he doesn't necessarily have a lot in the tank. But back to the main field, to our right we have a big group, and to our left, again, that group that lined up to the left has broken away. I don't have a number on the front swimmer quite as of yet, but I do know Jan Frodeno, Andy Potts, Dylan McNeese. There were a few other athletes in there, but those guys are in that left group, and that's a group that I feel, we talked about before the race started. If somebody wanted to get it away, it would be Andy Potts, Jan Frodeno, but you want an athlete like Dylan McNeese that has, quote unquote, nothing to lose out here today, going hard in the swim, trying to pull you away so that you can maybe get a gap, obviously in the swim, but then onto the bike ride. So we do have Frederik van Leer is in this group as well. So a bunch of fast athletes. Brent McMahon, another great swimmer and overall athlete here in this group on the left. So we have 1, 2, 3. We have 7 athletes in this group. Only a few meters in front, maybe 10 meters in front of the group on the right, but they have the momentum. They're taking a straight line. I think we're going to have a decent gap by the time we get to that first turn, right as I'm saying this, the last swimmer in this front group is even with the front swimmer of that second group. So unless that second group moves over pretty quickly, this gap is going to continue, and that last athlete in that group is Boris Stein, super fast cyclist and runner, generally not a fast swimmer, but right now we got the women starting here in a second. We'll get some numbers for you and come right back to you.
All right, thank you very much, Matt. As we get set for a start of our women's course today, we've got a fantastic lineup at the moment, as we can see them all shuffling around trying to get position at the moment. Marinda Carfrey lines up as 101. Daniela Reef is wearing number 102 today. Those are the two favourites out there. Jody Swallow, you look out for her to be one of the leaders coming out of the swim today. Mary Beth Ellis should be right in there, as well as Gina Crawford and Meredith Kessler, Leander Cave. They are the cream of the crop, Mike, when it comes to the swimmers of this professional women's race.
Let's not forget to mention Haley Chura, Amanda Stevens from the USA, two swimmers that will absolutely be in the mix. We've got, as you said, Meredith Kessler. There's other women that can come in here surprise, but it is going to be a nice little pack scenario, I think, especially once we get about 2,000 meters into the swim, rounding those turnboats. We're going to see some women break away. We are super close. We're about 30 seconds away from seeing these women tackle the 2.4-mile Roca swim course.
Okay, so just moments away from the women's swim course. When we get our next men's shot, We would imagine that those two groups are going to try and come together as they approach that turning buoy right out there at about 1.9 kilometres. So here we go. We're inside of 10 seconds. And there they go. Our professional women are underway in the 2015 Ironman World Championship presented by GoPro today. And like the men there, Mike, we can see that there's a little group of about 8 swimmers off to the left-hand side of the screen and a large group in the middle, and then a very small group of 4 swimmers off to the northern part of the swim at the moment. So we're officially underway with both of our elite categories.
And one of the things we talked about earlier was Rachel Joyce and her ability. She was someone that is obviously very consistently in the top 10, but we noticed this year, Ironman Texas at the American Regional Championship, she was able to get away and swim way, way faster than the rest of the field. She swam with some top-level competitors, but that's something that I expect to see change her game here. We saw Daniela Reef also up her game at the Ironman 70.3 World Championships in Austria. Those two women both coming with a little bit higher level than maybe we've seen at times. That puts them, like you said, with the Leanda Cave, the Kesslers, all those women that can just gap a bit that chase pack. In that chase pack, Greg, we talked about, of course, our 3-time Ironman World Champion Mirinda Carfrae, but there's also Heather Wertel from Canada, Angela Nath from Canada. These two women, if they team up, if they partner up and sort of become early allies, they're going to minimize that gap on the Queen K that we expect to see from these front runners.
So taking shots of our women's race right now, our men's race, we can report on that left-hand group was Andy Raylert, Andy Potts, and also Tim Don from Great Britain. But as the look of it right now, we've got a very large group of the women's on the left-hand side. And I would imagine that Jody Swallow is right up there in the middle. There is Amanda Stevens. And also Dee Dee Griesbauer right in there as well. Rachel Joyce and Leanda Cave. You can see Meredith Kessler in there as well. So let's go down to Matt Lieto. He's right by the swimmers down in the boat. Matt?
Yeah, thanks so much, Greg. Right now we're looking at our swim leader right now. Dylan McNeese, right behind him, Andy Potts. Tim Don is third, and as we see Tim Don in third place, we see a little gap to Frederick Van Leerd. It's starting to break open. That just stretched out. So Dylan McNeese is keeping the pressure on. He's trying to get a gap in the field. He's definitely getting a gap to Frederick Van Leerd and the athletes behind him. He may get a gap to Tim Don as well. It looks like in the other group, it is definitely Jan Frodeno in the front of that group with a gap of about 5 meters to the chase pack. We do know Tim O'Donnell was right there in second or third position in that chase group. But right now, Jan Frodeno, and I think, as you said, Greg, there's some athletes are definitely going to try to move over and get together with this front group. But it's all starting to splinter right now. Often it's about 400, 500, 600 meters in where things start to blow up, especially when you have a very, very fast athlete like Dylan McNeese pushing off the front. Last year, we didn't see a really large break in the field till the first turn. This year, we're likely going to see a little bit more of a break early. And again, that gap from Tim Don to Frederick Van Leerd is large now, and it's open. So you're going to start seeing Frederick looking to his right, trying to get on the feet of athletes in that main chase group. But right now, still two distinct separate groups separated by about 20 meters of width. And right now, Jan Frodeno is still extending his gap on that chase group. But as we get further out, the swells are quite large. You can probably see the texture on the screen, but it's getting quite big waves here, but still fast conditions. And again, Dylan McNeese, Andy Potts getting a gap on the field.
Yeah,
that is
you very
good
much,
stuff. It's exciting to see. And again, we talked about the different positioning. We'll see what happens because eventually they all have to get to that same turn buoy. Right now, as you guys pointed out, and we see Jan Frodeno leading that pack. He's so good. He did just that in the 70.3 World Championships 6 weeks ago. Jan Frodeno, and obviously an incredible swimmer. So he's gapping his group. We've got the gap forming here. What we may see happen, Greg, is those two groups merge and then them separate. So we're going to actually have two groups become one, and then also that separation as well. So we're going to have, well, basically just shrapnel on the water.
Yeah, you know, these guys aren't worried about coming together soon at all. They're going to just draw the line, and the perfect line right out there. If they come straight over, they're going to lose a little bit of distance on the inside of the group right now. But the best line at the moment is right on the right-hand side there where Frodeno is. He's just riding the line of the buoys right out there, taking the straightest possible line that he can. So You're looking at live shots right now, the 2015 Ironman World Championship presented by GoPro, and we're looking at our men's race right now. Looks like Ivan Rania from Spain just sitting in the middle of that group. I was very happy to see Tim Don and Freddie Van Leerd right up there in the lead of that group there just moments ago, and by the look of it, it looked like Tim Don was just starting to drop off the back of Andy Potts, as you would imagine. I mean, Dylan McNeice and Andy Potts and Jan Frodeno, to me, are the three best swimmers in this field.
I think you're right, but Tim Don, man, I would never bet against him to get he is someone that can swim with just about anyone. He's a fish. He's underrated. I think we've also not mentioned him as a possible favorite, as anyone can get in the mix. He's only done one Ironman, but he's won a whole heck of a lot of Ironman 70.3s. He's really good. He's working with Julie Dibbins, who knows this course. She's raced well here. Really improved his bike position, everything. So I don't think we should discount Tim Don, because if he keeps himself in the mix all day long on the bike, manages his fluid intake, and that comes off and does what he's capable on the run, it will be a dangerous thing, and I think we'll see him in that top 10.
Oh, no, he's fantastic. He's a former world champion. He's also an Olympian. He comes from great pedigree, and today, a race that he really wants. He says that he can go podium, and I was talking to Julie Dibbins last night, his coach actually, and she said, just watch out. I think he's ready for a good one.
Yeah, that's good. Confidence from the coach is so important, and I think it's true. So looking again, here is our group that is off to the far right. You're seeing this is the pack. They're kind of stuck together in there. This is a nice graphic showing you who's leading that left side group. So we're on the right side there, tucked in next to the buoy line. But yes, Dylan McNeice from New Zealand, Potts from the USA, and Great Britain's Tim Don leading out with a nice gap on this other group of athletes off to the right. So it looks, Greg, I'm seeing a lot of movement in the ocean. They show that low shot. You're seeing a lot of low-level chop. There's obviously a nice bit of swell. But to me, you know what? It doesn't look like fast conditions from my overhead pictures.
Yeah, it's not too bad. It's pretty good right now. But as you can see, that there's a lot of water moving underneath. This is just the surface, and that's where the swell. You can see the lines of the swell coming in, but underneath is where the churning happens. And there's an undertow. And when you come back in toward town, you've got all the water that's rushing back out. There's a little bit of backwash coming off the inside of the course right there. So as we look at Dylan McNeice, Potts, and Donna at the moment, they are leading our race, and you can see that Dylan McNeice right in the lead there from New Zealand, a great swimmer. Andy Potts, we know what he's capable of, and right in there, Tim Don and Freddie Van Leerd. So these guys here, our top four at the moment, have about a 10-metre gap on the other athletes. And look at that there, Michael. It's just a gap of about 25 athletes just thrashing away in the Pacific Ocean here. And, we're getting very close to our age group start coming up in about 20 minutes' time. So at 6:55 a.m. local time, we'll have our age group men getting underway. Then at 7:10 local time or 1:10 Eastern Standard Time in the United States, we have our age group women coming up. But beautiful shots overhead and right now down low of our men's race. This is a picture of our women's race at the moment there, Mike. So as we can see, Meredith Kessler right in there. We can also see Jody Swallow. She is just thrashing away there on the front. And I tell you what, Amanda Stevens right up there as well.
This is a really nice shot here, and you see just already how different it is. There are some women that are just able to pull away from the rest. Actually, looking off to the right, it looks like we've got one of our women off there to the side. I would actually guess that's Jody Swallow off to the right there on her own. I'm not sure. We'll get the man on the boat down there a little bit later to tell us what he sees, but this to me looks like Meredith Kessler on the bottom of your screen with Jody Swallow just above her on the right. So that's my prediction. Looks like they're already coming together. We're getting a glimpse of what I'm calling Meredith Kessler, realizing I'm going to jump on those feet right there of Miss Jody Swallow, see if I can get away. Again, we talked about how dramatically fast these women take off. Wow, she just went right on through. So if that is Jody Swallow, we'll find out. Maybe it's Haley Chura. Whoever it was just distanced herself quite quickly from that person trying to leap on. It just said, no thanks, I will see you later.
Unfortunately, Haley comes into this swim race today, and this race at the Ironman World Championship presented by GoPro with a little bit of an injury. She was involved in an accident a couple of weeks ago, and she's, in the front of the race right now, just pushing pretty hard. So let's go down to Matt.
Hey, thanks so much, Greg. Nice observations, Michael. We do have Jody Swallow did come across pretty fast actually to get inside the buoy. And Amanda Stevens, it looks like, is the athlete trying to, or I've been told is the athlete trying to stay on the feet. But Jody is definitely looking over the shoulder a little bit. That second athlete got close. She actually got within probably a half a meter, and now it's extended to over 2 meters. So right now we see that elastic breaking a little bit. And behind that second athlete, we have 2 athletes. I want to say we did see Mary Beth Ellis in there. We did see Liz Blatchford in there. But right now we have about, I would say, 13 to 14 athletes in this front group that has a small gap to Jody, which it looks like she's extending right now, and we're going to see her come in, or at least to the turn, with a little gap on the group. But right now, behind those 13, there's a few stragglers. There's about 5 athletes containing a second group, and then another 25 meters already to a larger chase group of 8 or 9 athletes. But right now, we're looking at kind of this main field of the women's race, looking now at about 15 athletes here in this swim. We'll get some more numbers for you. We do have Carolyn Steffen, I can see, is in here. Again, Mary Beth Ellis. Leanda Cave is in this group. We had, a lot of great athletes. We'll get some names and get back to you guys when we have some concrete details of this front group in the women's swim.
Very much, Matt. We're just getting word just a moment ago that Daniela Reef is swimming along with Caroline Steffen there. These are shots live of our women's professional field. And right now joining us in studio is none other than the CEO of Purple Patch Fitness here today, Matt Dixon. Matt, firstly, welcome to the show, and former professional athlete yourself, and you're here to talk a little bit about Ironman U. How's it all going, and what's Ironman U all about?
Well, I think it's a fantastic initiative by Ironman, and one of the challenges in the sport, of course, is for coaches to find really quality information, and there's no shortage of information out there, but there's no filter, there's no real place for coaches to turn for education and ongoing education. So the initial phase of Ironman University is an online curriculum, but we were just sitting at a meeting here in the King Cam Hotel, and sort of laid out the next couple of years with in-person, some great sort of initiatives coming up. So I think it's part of an ongoing program to really try and raise the knowledge base of coaches in the sport to try and help them. And so I'm happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, well, we're happy to have you a part of it as well. So there's about 1,500 people already signed up for that. The goal is to have around about 2,800 by the end of the year. It's something that's needed out there because, a lot of athletes are coming into Ironman and looking for advice all the time. So Ironman has put this initiative together, and it's a good one.
It is a fantastic one, that's for sure. Yeah.
Okay, Matt, give us a little bit of an idea what you think about the swim course at the moment. The Roca swim course is well underway, and in the lead we have Dylan McNeese from New Zealand, Andy Potts from the USA, and also Tim Don is sitting right in the group there. We've got our age groupers coming up that you coach a lot about, that you know a lot about, at 6:55 for our men and at 7:10 for our women this morning. What can you expect from our age group start here coming up in just a moment?
Well, it's obviously pretty calm on the waters, but the one thing that we do notice a little further out is there's a lot of movement. Even when you look at the pros swimming out, there was a lot of movement, and we looked at the weather forecast this morning and saw some big swells that are happening a little bit further down the coast. So I think it's going to be a little bit more of a challenging swim than maybe some of them anticipate. So it's all going to be about consistency. Obviously, this year we've got the split start, so I think it's going to be a little bit more social in the start. It won't be quite as crazy, but obviously, as we can see from the pictures here, there's still the spectacle of Hawaii, so I don't think it's diluted the experience at all.
And Matt, do you have? I'm sure you have a number of age groupers. How many age group athletes do you have on the start line today?
Well, it's been a busy week. We've got 32, which
which
makes it a little challenging. We've got just a couple of pros this year, Meredith Kessler and Sarah Piampiano. But 32 age groupers.
And how many of those are Executive Challenge?
There are 6 or 7 of them. So you know what? When the CEOs are stripped down into their underwear, they're all the same as all the other athletes. So that's very true.
Oh, this is a very family-oriented show. Be careful there, Matt.
There was an underpants run. He said it because of that a couple minutes ago. Those exact
some of them swim in their underwear, So.
Well, we just saw a shot of the sun. It's poking its nose over Mount Hualalai. This is the 2015 Ironman World Championship presented by GoPro. The men's age group start is set to start here in just a few moments' time here, and we're getting very excited to see all of our athletes here. Over 2,000 athletes are lining up for their chance to become an Ironman World Champion today in their age group positions or in our pro positions as well. So let's talk a little bit about the talented age groupers out there, because there's a lot of age groupers coming back to defend their world championships and a lot of other age groupers trying to knock them off.
There really is, and it's. I mean, this is a different race. It's a different race emotionally for athletes that have high aspirations here as well. They have to control their egos. They have to manage their resources and be respectful for the elements. And some of the advice that I gave our amateurs this year was to actually treat it as training all day, because so many athletes tend to leave their sort of run performances on the bicycle, as we would call it. So we want them to be very careful, very managed all day, even if they have aspirations to win.
Well, Matt, I'd like to ask you a quick question. Earlier, we saw footage of Matt Sharba dropping back to pull Lionel Sanders through intentionally. Talk to us about how much of a benefit. I mean, you swam these fields, you led them. What's it like? What's that advantage to get led through the Ironman World Championship?
It's significant. That's interesting. Is that true?
Yes.
What do I say about that? But no, it's a significant advantage to be able to sit and draft on someone's feet in the swim, and actually the best draft effect is on the hip. There's also the huge component of swimming in a straight line and sighting, and some of the less abled swimmers, if they have guidance, if they have someone that's a good solid swimmer that can also make sure they're swimming in a straight line, that's probably the biggest predictor.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, it really is an advantage, and just to get a little help out there, not to be left alone. And I think Lionel Sanders obviously wanted to overcome that weakness that is his relative weakness. He's so good on the bike and, of course, the run. So I'd love to hear. Are we sure? Actually, you did ask about this when you first showed up. We did see Jody Swallow leading out that women's pack, and Amanda Stevens was checking in on her.
Well, I tell you what, Mike, we've got a very good group up there at the moment. We've got Jody Swallow. Rachel Joyce is back to that swim form that we're used to seeing her. Caroline Steffen is swimming in there, but guess what? Daniela Reef has really improved her swim this year, and she is in that lead group at the moment. So I tell you what, that's really bad news for a lot of the weaker swimmers out there at the moment, with Daniela Reef right up there. So we're going to go down and chat with Matt Lieto right now. Matt?
We see these athletes taking a right-hand turn around the boat. First place, just by a head, is Dylan McNeese. Jan Frodeno did get over to that group. Andy Potts is still on that group. We talked about this specific group, Michael, yesterday, having the possibility of breaking away, and they've done that. And as we look to our right, it's a pretty darn big gap to the second group. So we've often asked, why doesn't Andy Potts go for it and get a gap on the swim and hold it on the bike? And it's because he doesn't always have athletes to go with. Now he does, and he's got a large gap with Dylan McNeese and Jan Frodeno. Tim Don got dropped out of that trio. He's now leading this first chase group. We did see Tim O'Donnell in this group, athlete number 52. You guys can see what I can see here. Yvonne Rania is in this group. It's hard to call everybody that's in here. Frederick Van Leerd, Paul Ambrose, easy to spot, is in this group. Colin Millward is in this group. Sebastian Kinley is in this group, right behind Luke McKenzie. That is huge, guys. So right now, the main group of contenders does still hold Sebastian Kinley. Absolutely massive swim from him so far. He was close to this position last year, but was already getting gapped off on the turn. Right now, he can tell that he's swimming with Luke McKenzie, an athlete that he's ridden with here before, and he's confident that if he's swimming with him, he's having a good swim. So right now, Luke McKenzie, Sebastian Kinley swimming right next to each other. Two athletes that have battled in the past, obviously, out here, but a large gap to the remaining swimmers here. I'm going to have a hard time giving you names for every specific swimmer, but again, guys, about 25-meter gap from that leading trio back to this large group. But the big call in there is that Sebastian Kinley has made it, and I know some other athletes. Ronnie has not made it. This is Marino van Honacker swimming minute 15 behind Sebastian Kinley. So a massive swim from Sebastian Kinley right now.
Yeah, it's an amazing race here we're seeing and we're witnessing right now a great excuse me, swim by Jan Frodeno. We know he's one of the greatest swimmers out there. Last year he swam exactly the same time as Andy Potts, and now Dylan McNeice. Throw that into the field there. Matt, comment a little bit about this because you know these guys and you were a great swimmer as well in your professional days. Frodeno up there spells a little bit of trouble for the rest of the field, but Kinley is having the swim of his life.
Well, I think that's the more interesting component of it. I fully expected Frodeno to be right up there, and I actually got to speak to Dylan McNeice a couple of days before the race, and I encouraged him to line up on the left side and try and break up the field a little bit. I feel like he's the best swimmer in the field, and his intention was to try and get this big group that often comes out to break up. I thought that Frodeno would probably be with him, and it's sort of breaking up like that. It'll be interesting to see on the way home what happens with this, whether Dylan can sort of get away, but it seems like it's a pretty significant group still coming out.
I think it's definitely going to get away on the way back, as it's a little bit harder to swim back into the current than what it is going out, and all the adrenaline also is going out. I think the athletes have, haven't had anything to drink now in like 40 minutes or so I think it's going to really wear on them. Matt, it's time to say goodbye to you. Thank you very much for popping in with Purple Patch Fitness and also representing Ironman U today. Have a great day and good luck to your athletes.
I appreciate it. Thanks for having me, guys.
All right, Matt. Now we're going to talk to, we're actually going to hear a little bit about Sebastian Kinley, about the swim, and about Jan Frodeno.
It's good for the sport in our country. There's a lot of media attention now, and I know him for a very long time. I know how hard a worker he is, and after last year, I know there's no holding back. If I just stay on that level and maintain my performance, it would not be enough to win another one, and I really wanted to win another one. And so there was not a stretch after Kona where I thought what's next? I mean, it's like winning another one, like the big goal. And that was just perfect that Jan was there, because he was a very strong motivation just to beat him again. And I know that it's gonna be very, very difficult this year, and so it was just exactly at the right time.
So athlete facts about Sebastian Kinley. He is our defending Ironman world champion, two-time Ironman 70.3 world champion, and the 2014 European Ironman champion as well. Wearing number 1 today, representing Germany. We're going to go back down to the water there and have a look at our women's leaders.
We've got a picture here of Jody Swallow as she swims past our boat. She has definitely kept the gas on and extended her gap on this chasing group of women now to our right. I want to say that gap is at least 25 meters. And we have our women coming through here. I got word earlier we were miscalling a little bit. It was Rachel Joyce in the front. It does look like Rachel Joyce is still in the front here. We still have Liz Blatchford, athlete number 107, athlete number 117. Leanda Cave is in this group. We have Laurel Wassner is in this group. Carolyn Steffen is in this group. Athlete number 132 at the very end of this group. Daniela is in this group as well. And as we look to our right, we have a small chase group of 4 athletes that is actually holding pretty strong to this front main field group. But they are another 30, 35 meters behind that group. And then as we look further behind, there's a group of 7 to 8 athletes another 100 meters behind. So we have a much more segmented women's field here today, with one sole leader off the front and one main group with 2 chase groups a minute behind each other. And then there is another main kind of field that looks like about 12 to 14 athletes pretty far off of the front of this race, looking like 150 to 200 meters off the back. But right now, Jody Swallow looks amazing. She looks like she's swimming catch-up. She looks very comfortable. She obviously has a goal in mind for today, and she's not waiting around for anybody else to help her achieve that goal. She's going out on her own, and Jody Swallow absolutely tearing up the swim course here in Kailua Kona.
All right, thank you very much, Matt. We'll focus on our professional women in just a moment, but now it is the largest wave of the day. 63% of the field today are men, and they are the age group men right now in the water. So almost 1,700 athletes you are witnessing at the start of this race at the moment. And Michael, this is the heart and the soul of Ironman about to get their day started.
That's right, and we're only about 20 seconds away. These guys are ready to start their day 5 minutes before 7. As we said, they have till 11:55 to get the job done. I expect many of them will do it much, much more quickly than that. And there we have it, Greg, the start of the 2015 Ironman World Championship presented by GoPro. These athletes, look at that sight. I love it. Every year it gets me fired up to see all that white water, all those churning arms, the legs, the jostling, the hustling. It's great. This is it, Greg. It's what we wait for all year long.
All year long. And, have a look around the perimeter of the event at the moment too, Mike, and the spectators and the supporters that have come down to witness the 2015 Ironman World Championship presented by GoPro. Look at these. These are the shots that put this sport on the map. The Ironman triathlon is synonymous with, and it's the epitome of the hardest one-day sporting event, endurance event in the world. And no doubt about it. Look at these overhead shots. Kailua Bay now has been turned into the washing machine's rinse cycle. Look at this. It's churning around, arms and legs all over the place. This is just absolutely magical moments in the sport of Ironman triathlon.
If you look closely there, just pick a person and watch them go. Not everybody goes straight. You start going one way. You realize that you're a bit off to the wrong side. You jump over some feet. You start going the other way. There's just a lot of nonlinear progression here, Greg. It is fun. It is hard. It is what we all think of when we hear the word Ironman.
Exactly.
Especially here at Kailua Bay. This thing is just absolutely world famous. And it's so great because it's such a wide start area. You have plenty of room for all these athletes to fit in.
You're right, Mike, and there you can see the whole swim course, the body glove boat out of the turnaround. That's the first right-hand turn. They go 75 metres to the right, where you can see the knob on the hill there where it meets the horizon. Then they'll make that other right-hand turn. You can see our pro race off to the right-hand side, the top of the screen. They are heading in the opposite direction. They are coming toward us at the moment. But as we can see right now, the age group athletes can get over to the left-hand side as soon as they can, but they don't have to go around those first orange buoys. They can go over to the left-hand side. So here we go. We're getting lead shots down onto the swim course at the moment, Mike.
And you'll notice these stand-up paddleboards. Xterra is our official stand-up paddleboard of Ironman. They're out there. All of our water safety personnel paddling along on one of those Xterra boards. Really useful, obviously, for safety reasons. Also tell you where to go, show you the lay of the land. That's a nice shot of our three lead men just pulling away, again, putting more and more time. It's a really great shot, really shows the perspective. And again, we know this is Dylan McNeese, this is Andy Potts, and this is Jan Frodeno getting away.
Yeah, Andy Potts has just come up onto the shoulder now of Dylan McNeese for the first time today, and he's trying to make a little bit more of a gap. Jan Frodeno is sitting in third position, but the chase group is not that far behind there, Mike. It looks like probably about 35 to 40 seconds at the moment as we get a beautiful overhead shot of our swim course at the moment. Every single one of our professional athletes, including the women, has approached or turned around the turning buoy right now.
We did just get an update, too, from the water that Mirinda Carfrey, athlete bib number 101, is 2 minutes down from the lead group. So she's in the third group, did lose that second group, but Mirinda Carfrey in the third group, 2 minutes down, Greg, off the lead. We'll see. That's kind of what we thought. If they go to the second half, it's going to be 4 minutes. I'd love to hear what Matt is seeing down the water. Matt, what have you got for us?
Yeah, thanks, Michael. We still have this main group, this lead group of three athletes off the front. They have extended their gap a little bit. I want to say that's probably a close to 75-meter gap to that main group, we'll call it. Doesn't seem like any athletes have been popped out of that main group yet. So Sebastian Kinley is still in this lead swim group at this point. And I think Jan Frodeno might be a little surprised if he gets a gap in the swim and still has the same gap on Kinley that he would have in a race like last year, generally Kinley is 3 minutes back of the main group. Right now he is in the main group, so massive swim by him. One of those athletes is getting a little bit gapped off the back of this group of 3. I think it was Andy Potts last time we saw was in 3rd position, but with this sun it's hard to tell. I apologize, but again, this main field is 1 minute behind from what we've got off our watch off that yellow buoy there. So right now, 1 minute gap from the leaders to this main field, and then there's a chase group behind of another 3 minutes to that chase group behind the main field. So amazing swim here happening in Kailua, and again, we're going to have a really fast race with the swim starting off in a real quick condition. But yeah, it's Andy Potts in 3rd position, Jan Frodeno in 1st, Dylan McNeese right now in 2nd position. Tim Don, last time we saw, was leading this chase group, this main field, trying to limit their losses to this group of 3. But right now, I would say we have 20 to 25 athletes in this chase group, with 1 athlete getting popped off the back as we speak, but right now we're gonna see a large group come in together.
It's over 1,100 meters, or about 1,160 yards to go in our swim course here in the Roca swim course, the 2.4 mile or 3.8 kilometer swim. And as we can see, Dylan McNeese, Andy Potts and Jan Frodeno very comfortable off the front at the moment. The big winners right now, Sebastian Kinley, the defending champion, seems to be swimming much better than what he did last year. On the women's side, Mirinda Carfrey is sitting in around about the same position as she actually normally swims. But the big mover has been Daniela Reeve. She has been able to maintain her pace and stay with that lead group in our women's swim today. While Jody Swallow is leading in the chase group, Rachel Joyce, Leander Cave, Caroline Steffen, Daniela Reeve, Lucy Gossage is right up there, and Dee Dee Griesbauer. So Mirinda Carfrey swimming right there in the 3rd group, 2 minutes behind the lead group at the moment. Not too bad, as we get a shot of Jody Swallow solo off the front.
What an amazing sight right there, looking at that two stripes down behind that lead swimmer. So this is excellent stuff. We have a lot more action coming to us. We are excited to bring it to you. Right now, we're going to run off to a break, but stay with us.
Roca is a performance apparel brand, and we started out in around 2010, 2011. Rob Canales and I had swam together in college at Stanford, and after being out of shape and all those things, Rob had challenged me to do an Ironman 70.3 in Austin.
So we signed up for the race, tried to figure out what exactly triathlon is, what all the gear entailed, how do we actually prepare for this event. Bought a bunch of fancy gear to make up for being out of shape.
Got really into the wetsuit side of things, and just we're really disappointed in the lack of shoulder mobility and some of the mechanical things and understanding of what we thought was the right way and the fast way to swim freestyle.
And then after the race decided, hey, maybe we should look into this and think about making a suit for ourselves, just kind of like as a hobby.
Started hacking away at neoprene, trying to come up with some new designs and try to take a radically different approach to how buoyancy was structured to make the suit faster and aid the mechanics. We realized that if we had stripped some buoyancy away on the outside of the suit and put it down the center line, it actually really increased the power that you get on rotation, just utilizing some simple physics there. And most of the suits at the time were doing everything they could to just float you as much as possible. What we realized is that by strategically using liners in the right places, you could maximize the power transfer and the rigidity in the right places, but also give people ultimate flexibility where they wanted it.
So at Roca, we've got a really strong by athletes, for athletes culture. It's a huge part of our product design process and what we do, and we really try to listen to the athletes and understand what they need. And we started with a race day relationship with the wetsuit and the swim skin product, and then that morphed into an everyday relationship, like a training relationship, with the sim shorts and the goggles. And we recently launched swimwear. We're working on a new goggle, and we've got a bunch of stuff cooking in our kitchen, and we're really excited to see what athletes need and what we can deliver to help them perform better day in and day out.
saw you on Facebook. You shared a couple of times your strategy.
Yeah, likely every 90 minutes.
Okay.
And on the run every loop. So every 10K.
2/3 of our planet is covered in it. So why do nearly 800 million people suffer from lack of clean water around the world? That's completely unacceptable to me. And that is why I'm working on a way to solve this global problem. Like here in Sao Paulo, Brazil. By taking the polluted water we already have and providing technologies to filter it back into clean water. My name is Manny, Senior VP of Technology. We are Coke.
Ben Franklin once said you can do anything you set your mind to. He must have had Soles Flex in mind when he made that statement. Our feet enable us to do a lot of things, and it helps when they have the support they need. Soles Flex, custom 3D printed insoles hug your feet, offering custom fit and stability.
This is for you. It's your body, your passion, your life. Whether you're chasing your own dream or helping someone else get there, there's now a hub where training, nutrition, trends, and science come together. Where goals become realities. Welcome to Ironman U.
I'm Ben Hoffman, and you're watching Ironman Live.
2015 Ironman partners include Gatorade Endurance, train with what's on course, GoPro, be a hero, and Roca, find faster.
It's like,
what the hell is she thinking? So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back from our break here, the 2015 Ironman World Championship presented by GoPro. We are ready now for our age group women here. 27% are age group women today, so we can see that they're all out there at the moment getting ready. Our paddleboarders just keeping them in tune at the moment and in check as they anticipate their start in just a few moments' time, Mike. Very nervous moments for our women, but they got until 12:10 a.m. this morning to get over the finish line.
And what a great thing to have these women in their own clean, fresh start. I mean, it's a large group of women. They don't have to be in there getting churned up and pushed around. They have their own space to churn up and push around. It's really a nice thing. They started that last year, separating that out. Obviously, it used to be men and women age groupers all together. So it's great to see that, and I know these women really appreciate that. It still gives us these dramatic pictures, still gives them that amazing swim start here in Kailua Bay, but it's just wonderful that they could have that again on the road, have that free space, and swim on their own. Let's start the bike ride on their own. It's good stuff that we've done. It's a nice change. So, Greg, we are about 2 minutes and 15 seconds away before these women get started.
Yeah, so great moments before we get underway with our age group women. Start here at the 2015 Ironman World Championship, presented by GoPro. We're looking at over 500 women at the moment, looking to start their day. We've got our underwater cameras under there, as well as our scuba divers for safety, as well our paddle boarders will surround our athletes all day long. The water safety here is magnificent. Xterra paddle boards are out there in force, as we can see, the official paddleboard of Ironman as well. So we're just moments away from our age group start, but just real quickly, just recapping our women's pro wave at the moment. We've got Jody Swallow out there, and then we've got 12 girls that are sitting in that chase group there, Michael, and it's incredible to see we have such a great and tight race at the front.
Absolutely, and it's no surprise to see Jody get away. She talked to us before the race, said, you know what, I love to just be that factor in there. The women can count on me being a factor, pushing the pace, getting in there, getting away, just not really holding back at any moment. And I love watching her race, especially this event. So Jody Swallow off the front by about 25 meters to that leading group of women. One thing that's really great, Greg, look at these women. They're in perfect line. They are not drifting like the pros. They are not. It's a women. It's gorgeous. They're ordered. They're ready. I mean, they're excited, but they're not trying to creep the line. That is good restraint right there. That is good stuff.
Boys will be boys, and women are always, very, very nicely well-mannered and always ready to go and doing as they're told and just lining up correctly. And the boys won't do anything that they're told to do. Now, that's speaking on behalf of most men. Myself, I don't know about that. All right, so we're just moments away from our start of the 2015 Ironman World Championship presented by GoPro. This is our age group women. They are all set for a start here in the Roca swim course coming up in a few seconds. And there we go. They're underway. Mike, great to see.
Absolutely. And again, we love this shot. It's probably the best image. I love this perspective. I love the angle. So there they are. Xterra paddleboards go. They make a quick 90-degree turn, get those boards pointed straight in line with the women. The women swim past, all in pink caps on the start of this race, and that's a great indicator. You can always see it. Some of these women will catch up to those age group men. You'll see them start to blend. Same thing with the pro men, pro women. You color caps, white for the men, pink for the women. It's an amazing sight, and there it is. You get these helicopter shots from above, looking down on the start. I know that if you just also look up in the upper left corner, you see our pro men's time of 45 minutes, 30 seconds. We're predicting that within the next 3 to 5 minutes, we're going to see these men hitting the end of this swim course. So, Matt Lieto, I think you're still down there in transition, waiting for these guys to come out, and you're going to share with us who's first, who's second, and what's going on behind those guys. Matt, what have you got for us?
Yeah, thanks so much, Michael. Yeah, the men's race is coming to a close here as far as the swim goes in just a few minutes. Right now with me, I have TJ Twelsiq. He was helping me spot that hectic swim race out there. TJ, what did you see out there that was maybe different than other years?
This is definitely one of the most dynamic swims that we've had at the World Championships. Right away, we had 2 lines split up. That first line of 7 fractured again down to 3. So we got a group of 3 out front with Jan Frodeno, Dylan McNeese, and Andy Potts. Freddie Van Leerd was in that group. He was the first to fracture off the back, but he's now comfortably in that front pack. Matt, tell him the biggest and most exciting news of who's in that front pack.
Yeah, no, it's definitely Sebastian Kinley being in that front group. Crazy for him to have that great a swim. Obviously, I think he's motivated for the win here, but I think maybe a little bit of national pride. He knows that Jan Frodeno is trying to crack him, trying to get distance. Do you think that national pride has a little bit to do with Sebastian swimming so well today?
Absolutely. You know, those Germans, they would rather be the first German than 3rd place overall. So it means a lot to them to be the first German across the line, so they're definitely battling it out for that. Who are some of the other surprises, Matt, that you saw in that group?
Yeah, I mean, as far as surprises, not too many, as far as I could tell. We had the obvious athletes off quickly with Lionel Sanders, but what we're going to do, we're going to position ourselves here in transition. Kind of the most hectic part of the day is about to happen, so I apologize if you hear the both of us screaming. We'll keep the obscenities to a small amount, but we're going to be screaming out numbers to you. These guys are going to be gumming through here fast and fierce, but just a few minutes till we have the lead men coming out of the swim here today.
To 0% profanity, so you just keep it nice and tidy today, you two.
Matt, just a little FYI from the overhead shots, just so you'll know what to expect. We've got Dylan McNeese and Andy Potts pushing ahead. They're shoulder to shoulder with Jan Frodeno just off the back a tiny bit. I mean, I don't think it's anything to worry about. I think these two guys are fighting for those honors of first to set foot on shore. So, Matt, just a little prep coming your way. You're going to see these two guys. They got a tiny gap. Andy Potts on the left, Dylan McNeese on the right, and then Frodeno actually taking that sweet spot draft behind 2 incredible swimmers. What a nice way to finish the swim, Greg.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, Jan Frodeno is pulling back up onto the feet because he's about 5 meters just a moment ago, and now he's back to about 2 meters. And I would imagine that Dylan McNeese is really going to kick it in here. Andy Potts is, just going to ride the shoulder of Dylan McNeese all the way in here. Dylan doesn't really he's not going to really factor into the end result of the race today, with all due respect, but I think that he will really go for it. Jan Frodeno just sitting comfortably as we get our scuba diver going down to get some underwater shots of our leaders at the moment. But the gap, that's what we're all interested to know when they get out of the water. What is that gap back to the chase group, and who is in it? If Sebastian Kinley is in the back of that group, he has had one of the best swims of his Ironman professional career, as we see our two leaders just rounding out the tyres there on our multi-million-dollar pier. Look down at that pier, ladies and gentlemen. There is millions of dollars worth of incredible technology down there today. We'll get over to that Canyon Bikes bike course in just a few moments' time, but there we get to see our leaders at the moment. We've got Andy Potts at the lead of Dylan McNeese from New Zealand, and Jan Frodeno, our first German athlete, wearing number 2 today. He will be coming through momentarily, but we're going to toss it down to Matt here in just a few moments. But Michael, here we come to the end of the swim today, and they're going to go just over that 50-minute barrier like they did last year. So very consistent swimming today on a very nice course.
Yes, and that just shows. I mean, these guys, again, Dylan McNeese swam 44 minutes when he got third place Ironman Cairns earlier this year in June. Third place, of course, behind the winner, Luke McKenzie. But here they are, Matt. They're coming at you. We would love...
And there he goes. Dylan McNeese off the front right now as we expected. Down to Matt Lieto.
Hey, thanks so much, guys. Yeah, I'm here on the other side of this Roca banner waiting for the lead swimmers to come out. They're coming out right now. We have 50 minutes and 20 seconds. So as you guys said, similar to last year, right in the 50s, not going under the 50-minute barrier. But right now we have Dylan McNeese, Jan Frodeno, Andy Potts. Right now it's the drama is killing me. The anticipation of watching these guys come up the stairs. But there's going to be a sprint for the line. There's no doubt there are swim bonuses up for grabs coming out here. And Andy Potts is running up. Dylan McNeese, we had a little bit of a trip by Andy Potts on the stairs. Dylan McNeese first into the hoses. That was Jan Frodeno with a little bit of slip. Jan Frodeno into transition second. Andy Potts coming in third right now on the clock as Andy runs through. I have 50 minutes and 57 seconds. So we're going to get a clock down, basically 51 minutes. And now we've got a kind of a countdown to this second group. I see some water moving behind me, but as we talk, we see these athletes over my shoulder. I see them run through. They're grabbing their transition 1 bag, and they're putting on their helmet, whatever they put in there. They're putting helmet on. Some athletes will put arm coolers on, but they're running through that change tent. Nobody's going to be really sitting down in that change tent likely for this transition, but I already see athletes kind of running around the backside of the pier. So those athletes are trying to make sure that they didn't work for nothing with that swim gap. It takes a lot of energy to get that kind of a gap on a class field like this. So they want to make sure they're as efficient as possible, or as efficient as they can be coming through this transition to make sure that that energy was not wasted. So right now we're still waiting on this second group. Right now it is over a minute since those first athletes came through, but from the expression of the crowd, we do have that second group coming through. So right by my position, we had Dylan McNeese come through in 50:45. Right now it's 52:10 as we speak. So 2 minutes coming off with the lead on the swim right now with those other athletes. So right now it's it's a minute and a half as we speak. First athlete through is don't recognize off the bat. We got 2 athletes rolling through. We had Romain Guillaume, Tim O'Donnell. We had Fraser Cartmel, Luke McKenzie is in there, Ben Hoffman is in there, Paul Ambrose, Tim Burkle, Bas Dieterin, Sebastian Kinley, number 1 has made it through here, number 30 has made it through here, number 15, Aniko Llanos, Jeff Simmons has made it, Callum Millward, Luke Bell has made it. So some athletes that were kind of, I would say maybe on the fringe of making that main group absolutely have. Right now though, Sebastian Kinley having trouble getting his bag off the rack, number 1. He had some trouble getting his bag off the rack, but those athletes that were kind of, I would say, on the bubble of making that front group that have, we had Jeff Simons was on there, Sebastian Kinley, Callum Millward, Luke McKenzie in the last few years has been maybe a little inconsistent sometimes in his swim, but great swim from him today being that main group. But again, they were almost 2 minutes behind our leaders. So quite a gap there for that main field to our group of 3 athletes. So it was about 1:45 to them. Right now we're going to go and watch these guys as they get their bikes and head out onto the bike course.
Thank you very much, Matt. And what an exciting swim finish for our men's pros today for the Roca swim. But now we're onto the Canyon Bikes bike course here in Kailua Kona for the 2015 Ironman World Championship presented by GoPro. And now we see a little bit of a gap, you know, on the men's race. And we're going to have our women's coming in momentarily here. But Jan Frodeno, he had a great race. And now he finds himself in a very fast transition in first place in the race today. And also going out, Dylan McNeeson and Andy Potts in third place. So let's toss it back down to Matt Lieto, who's standing by on the pier.
Right here we have Romain Guillaume coming out on the bike. Obviously those front three are already out here. Nils Frimhold is out here as well. Brent McMahon is in here. Tim Don. Andreas Raylard is asking for some assistance. I'm not sure what he was asking for. Tim O'Donnell is on to the bike as well, running through transition. Fraser Cartmill, Courtney Atkinson, looks like Yvonne Rania as well, Luke McKenzie, Paul Ambrose right now grabbing his bike right there. Sorry, I don't have the name of that athlete, number 41. We have Tim Burkle running through here. We have another athlete number 30. We have Luke Bell running through here, trying to get his sunglasses on. Freddie Van Leer putting his visor on. Neko Yano is coming through as well. Athlete number 16, that is Vernal. We have Jeffrey Simmons coming through here as well. He's kind of one of the last athletes here, Callum Millward. And the last athlete to get to his bike right now, we're going to have Sebastian Kinley, defending champion, number 1. Amazing, amazing swim. A little bit slow with his transition bag, but he's right on the tail end of this group. This is absolutely not only the closest Sebastian has ever been to the main field, but also the closest to the lead of the race. He was only 2 minutes down from a break group and even with these other athletes. So as these athletes are going on this out and back and starting this bike ride, they're going to look to their left and they're going to see Sebastian Kinley coming through at quite a pace, which is not normal. Normally they get to Hawi to wait to see the train of Sebastian Kinley come by. Not this year. He's going to be in, I would say, 4th place here pretty quickly. Again, Andy Boscher, an athlete we'd expect to have a better swim, has been dropped off the group. A great cyclist, but he's got some work to get up to that main group. Jan Van Berkel, was that other athlete that was right behind. So right now we have a little bit of a lull. Transition is empty, but that second group is going to come through. But guys, amazing, hectic as always, but crazy to see defending champion this close to the front at this race already.
All right, we'll take a breath, Matt, and we'll get back to you just in a few moments when our females come out of the water there. But we're taking shots right now of Jan Frodeno, the Ironman European champion, the Olympic champion, and also wearing number 2 today, riding a Canyon bike on the Canyon Bikes bike course right now. 112 miles the distance, or 180 kilometers. Now he's on the Queen Ka'aumanu Highway. He will get to the top of the hill. He'll make a right-hand turn down Palani Road. And Mike, he'll hit speeds of over 50 miles an hour before he does a 90-degree turn to the left on Kuakini.
Absolutely, and that's a zone for our age group athletes. That's no pass zone. For the pro athletes, it's just an area to be very careful as you hit that bottom left turn. Looking again at some footage back of some of these athletes coming out of the water. Still going to have some contenders that are coming off hitting solid ground. Most of the people that we highlighted are already on the road on that Canyon Bicycles bike course. Jan Frodeno, one thing that I noticed when I look at him compared to last year is his bike position is just so much nicer looking. He looks great on the bike. Obviously the fitness, the way he rides the bike is impressive. But I love to see, especially at this event, that change to his position. He just looks good on the bike, really good.
Yeah, everything looks good about Jan. He's got a very aerodynamic helmet. He's got a great skin suit happening. He's got the arms covered up all the way down to the elbows to keep the sun off. And he's very streamlined, as you can see. He's a very tall and lean-looking guy anyway, but he's done an incredible amount of time in the wind tunnel at the moment. And Jan Frodeno shouldn't be worried about what's happening behind him, because what he needs to do is go out and think that he's in Ironman European, Frankfurt race at the moment, and just know that 408 bike split down in Frankfurt was no fluke. He's wearing number 2. He's number 2 ranked in the world at the moment in the KPR, and now he's ready to get out there and just give it everything that he's got. I don't think that Frodeno should be looking around anymore. I just think he should put his head down and bum up and just absolutely go for it, because I know that he's going to have those other guys work. Kinley's going to get to the front of this race before you know it, up there with Frodeno. And I tell you what, that spells really bad news for the rest of the field. Kinley and Frodeno, definitely the 2 favourites in the race today. today. Here we go, tightening up the shoe as he makes his way down Palani Road. He's about to hit the hot corner on the bike course today. And Jan Frodeno has now put his stamp already on this 2015 World Championship.
And as we saw in that picture just on the left, that was footage of Jody Swallow pulling away. We've got that upper shot, and knowing that the women, Jody Swallow has managed to maintain, even grow that gap on the women. It was 25 meters at one point, but I do not see anyone inside that 25 meters. So Jody Swallow about to hit solid ground. She's at 53.54 right now, which is going to create a very quick time. But again, last year I think we were in that range of 54, 55 minutes. So very good. Here we have the full screen shot of Jody Swallow making that closing gap, closing a few yards of this Roca swim course.
Well, what an amazing swim by Jody Swallow today. I think we'll go down to Matt in just a few seconds to get an idea exactly how she looks out there, but she broke away very, very early. And let's go down to Matt Lieto, who's standing by waiting for Jody Swallow.
Yep. Oh, hey guys, we got Jody coming through here. She is in the shallows as we speak. She's going to get a couple dolphin dives in as she comes out of the water. But right now we've got Jody Swallow coming onto the screen. Amazing swim by her. She never waited for anybody. You know, it's a little hard getting on the stairs to start. She finds her bearings. Looking down, very focused, Jody Swallow. Very, very focused. As we watch her run through, she's going to skip the hoses. She doesn't care about getting fresh water on her. She's going straight to her bag, and she's going to run through. Right now I had her at 55 minutes, almost flat. Maybe it was a high 54, but a great swim by Jody, all on her own. A really, really good swim from her. And, she's gonna have time to get comfortable out on the bike ride before the rest of the women come through. You know, we have a pretty large group, and I think the women are getting a little bit more used to group tactics off the front of this race. So she has the ability to either go for the gusto or go for broke here on her own, or she has time to shake her legs out and wait for the other women to catch her so she can be a little bit fresher when the gas hits the pedal, so to speak. So right now we're waiting on that chase group. I see them from behind our banners here, so bear with me. We have a few more seconds. We're going to have this chase group of the professional women coming through just about right at a minute, exactly a minute behind. Sorry, we had a pro athlete. This is a pro male athlete, Matt Sharbot, who we said was with Lionel Sanders. Right now, Leanda Cave coming out of the water. We have Rachel Joyce, Lionel Sanders seeking through there, another male pro. We have Mary Beth Ellis, Liz Blatchford, Meredith Kessler, Carolyn Steffen, Daniela Riff, and last athlete, number 129. So all those athletes pretty close, 1 minute behind Jody Swallow. I would say right now, that was Haley Chura, was that last athlete coming through. So right now, I'd say Jody has a minute. She has a little bit of time, not too much to hang around and wait for those athletes, but she has a little bit. Right now, we have Dee Dee Griesbauer. I believe she's been first out of the water here before. She's about 30 seconds behind that chase group. So all these women are running around transition. We're going to catch them, Greg and Michael, as they get onto their bikes.
And here we have a great shot of Jody Swallow. She's got her helmet on. First to her bike, she's going to be first onto that Canyon Bicycles bike course. Jody Swallow, we knew she'd get away. We didn't know she'd do that kind of damage to those that lead pack of women and elite group of women. So Jody Swallow, she said she likes to race from the front, but guess what she said before the race? I identify as a runner. That's dangerous, coming in here feeling like she's a runner and being first out like that, Greg.
Well, she looks like a runner possessed at the moment. She ran really hard to the bike today. She did take a little bit of time to get her bearings, before she got out of the water there. But that's normal, Now let's go back down to Matt, who's got a bird's eye view.
Yeah, Greg, we got Jody Swallow just came through our camera. So she was very efficient in that first transition. Right now I see her jump onto her bike on the mountain line. She looks nice and smooth, nice and composed. She had a 1 minute gap on her competitors there. We see some other athletes running through here as well. Let's try to get a number on this athlete. Matt Hansen coming through for the men's field, a little bit behind. We have athlete number 122. We had Mary Beth Ellis coming through here, grabbing her bike right now. Rachel Joyce, Michelle Vesterby was that athlete that just came through. We have Liz Blatchford. Daniela has just come through. There's Carolyn Steffen, Leanda Cave. There we go. Number 130. Annabelle Luxford. Number 118 coming through here. Another male pro that's behind the female pros at the moment. Camilla Peterson came out. We have Meredith Kessler having trouble right now. She's got to remain focused. She's actually knocked somebody else's glasses off their bicycle, and she's got her bike out and she's ready to go. Right now we have number 129, Haley Shura, coming through. And another athlete here is one of our male pros, but right now we have, this is Heather Wertel coming through as well. She has got her jersey on and she's ready to go. Sorry, that's Dee Griesbauer. We have not seen Heather Wertel yet. She's going to be in this chase group, likely behind near Mirinda Carfrey. But yeah, the women coming through fast and furious. Nothing too crazy. Meredith Kessler a bit flustered, but besides that, it looks all smooth for the ladies here this morning.
We were just getting a shot of Mirinda Carfrey's bike, who's still in the transition area. Jody Swallow leads our women's race. They're wearing number 103 today. Very, very good swim, and she went off the front early on. He really, setting a fast pace and really setting the tone for the women's race, as we see. But Daniela Reeve has had a fantastic swim. Leander Cave was right into that group as well. You know, she won the race a few years ago, and she's been over here training on the island for quite some time right now. So you know that she's focused back on this race. So as we see a lot of our female pro athletes going out of the water, it's going to be about another 15 minutes before we see our age group men coming out of the water and getting out onto the bike course. But Jody Swallow right now leads the race. She's the 2015 Ironman Africa champion, fourth at the Ironman World Championship presented by GoPro last year, second here at Mont Tremblant last year in the 70.3 World Championships as well. She represents Great Britain, and I'll tell you what, she's trying to take the bull by the horns. Now, Mike, 6 weeks ago, let's wind the clock back to Zell-am-See, Austria. The day before the race, she was out there trying to do a recon, look at the course on the bikes, fell over, hurt herself, and wasn't able to finish the race. And now she comes here 6 weeks later, primed and ready for a big result at the Ironman World Championship.
Absolutely, and motivated. She had a win at Ironman 70.3 Lanzarote about 3 weeks ago, so that gets her back on the winning streak. You don't like to come here off a DNF, so that's certainly her most recent memory, is winning that race. And as a lot of people know, Lanzarote is a volcanic island, not unlike Kona. So she's over here on the big island, used to that blowing wind, that gusty wind, that exposed, hot, windy environment. We're still looking at some of these women get onto the bike. We did see Susie Cheatham out of Great Britain come out of the water. She is a strong contender right now. A little bit of a trip up. People do want to see that, and they say, you know what, I'm jumping on the bike, but the mountain line is not under that black arch. The mountain line is a little further down. We're seeing some of our male professionals come through. That looked like Mikey Weiss. I'm not sure 100%, but we see some of these guys. I also saw earlier Matt Hansen, the Ironman North American Regional Championship winner, Matt Hatson. He blew by Jody Swallow, coming out, obviously an hour swim for him. Looking at Jody Swallow, she is at home in the front of a race. She loves to be a front runner. She is right now leading the way on the Canyon Bicycles bike course. Jody looks very, very smooth. She's about to hit a very steep short hill, take a right turn, and then go along the Queen K. Here's a close shot of Heather Wertel. This woman's second place in Austria at the Ironman 70.3 World Championships 2 weeks ago. So Heather Wertel, never having had an exceptionally good race here in Kona, but she's very good. That's Kelly Williamson. But right now we've got Matt Lieto very close in the action. Matt, what have you got for us?
There you go, Michael. Thank you so much. We have Kelly Williamson coming through, Liz Lyles coming through. Heather Wertel did come through, maybe a little bit further back than she'd like, but she was very focused. She got a little bit shaken up running to the wrong bike rack because she was used to seeing the men's bike rack full. So she was able to find her bike here after a second, but looked very composed. But those three athletes might have, I know the two of them at least were riding together last year, so they're used to each other's company, and they're gonna build that effort together and try to catch the front of the race. But right now, somebody we've been waiting for this swim, she was 6 minutes back, making the same slight error that Heather Wertel did going to one of the first age group racks. But here we go, our defending champion, Mirinda Carfrey, 6 minutes down on the lead, 5 minutes down on that main group, with a lot of very fast athletes that are here today to dethrone Mirinda Carfrey. But Mirinda Carfrey taking her time, clipping her helmet on, grabbing her bicycle, and running out of transition and onto the bike course here. But yeah, so nothing too crazy happened. No big falters. One athlete did get their glasses aren't going to be on their face today. But besides that, looked like smooth transition for everybody. So we always wish the best of mechanical luck to our athletes, and it looks like they've had it so far. So back to you guys. We'll get a couple more details, but we'll see you guys in a second.
Great, Matt. You know, one of the things you've got to mention, there's Annabelle Luxford. This is our women's pack right here, and that's Daniela Reef doing the job that we've seen her do so well all year long since we saw her last year in Kona. Daniela Reef just putting power to the pedals. She rides with confidence. She rides with a very smooth but strong pedal stroke. Look at her go. This is a gradual uphill, Greg. We have not hit the right turn at the top of Polani to go down, bombing down to the Kuakini. She's overtaking. She's probably finding her way to the front of that little group, that large group, I should say, of about 12 women.
Yeah, gradual uphill with a cadence of around about 75 to 80 at the moment. Daniela Reef is going to make her way to the front of this race really, really quickly. And I tell you what, she's already over 5 minutes up on Marinda Carfrey. It's going to be amazing on the Canyon Bikes bike course here. There goes Daniela Reef down Polani Drive right now. There goes Lionel Sanders in the men's professional field going past on the left-hand side. You can see the amount of wattage that Lionel's pushing out. Daniela's going to keep an eye on that green jersey there for a little bit, but I tell you what, Lionel Sanders now is really tearing through the back of the men's field, but Daniela Reef now has made the most impressive start of this race. It is going to be very tough to beat her today. I'm going to go out as far as saying that this lead that she's already got on Marinda Carfrey is going to go way out, and Marinda Carfrey is going to have to keep it within about 13 minutes. And I tell you what, Daniela Reef has had the swim of her Ironman life, as well as Sebastian Kinley. Now, Sebastian Kinley was only 1 minute and 43 seconds down on our leaders heading out onto the Canyon Bikes bike course today. So Sebastian Kinley has never been that close in any Ironman race ever. And today, he's already put himself in that winning position.
That's right, and looking to the right here on the picture, we've got what looks like Andy Potts right there coming up Polani. So he has come down the Kuakini, and he is now finishing up that out and back section here in town. That's Andy Potts out of the saddle, and he's climbing Polani at the top here. Just a couple moments, he's going to hang a left and get right out onto, I'm sorry, let's just go ahead and backtrack a bit. Yeah, that's him. That's number 5. So
yeah, let's get up to
that's Andy Potts here, and he's looking really good. What he does when he turns left, he gets out on the Queen K. This is what we've been waiting to see with Andy Potts. We've been waiting to see him take the bull by the horns, Greg, and just get after it. He was 4th last year. He wants to move up on that podium, become the next winner as an American of this race. So let's see. He looks like he's moved to the front, and he's doing a great job.
Yeah, he's in 2nd place at the moment. So Jan Frodeno, as it stands right now, is leading through 12 kilometers on the bike. Andy Potts in 2nd at 32 seconds. Dylan McNeese in 3rd at 1:26. Right now we'll go down and have a chat with Matt Lieto.
Hey, thanks so much, Greg. Appreciate it. I'm here with kind of my superstar assistant for today, we'll call him. TJ Tolixson did a great job helping me get swim splits. It's hard to be able to tell who's swimming where at what point, but today a lot of hectic action on the swim, but also in transition. What did you notice in transition this morning, TJ?
There's some craziness going on here, but the biggest thing I noticed was Angela Nath seemed to be hobbling through transition. So it appears she has some sort of cramping from the swim or some sort of an injury to her. You can definitely see she was favoring one leg, limping a little bit. So that seems to be a surprise right now. Other than that, there was a little bit of chaos. Meredith Kessler knocked over somebody else's glasses, which are still sitting in transition. So it gets a little crazy in here with things falling all over the place. 6-minute gap from the front of the race to Marinda. So Daniela's got a little over 5-minute lead on Marinda right now, so that's a race we're really paying attention to. And then obviously with Meredith Kessler and Heather Wertel, we're looking at some really strong cyclists to make sure that gap stays what it is. But we'll see what it closes down to early on the first few miles of the bike.
Awesome. Thanks so much, TJ. And after we saw Angela coming through with a hobble, I asked some other industry folks that were around if they'd heard anything, and it sounds like she had maybe strained or tore a tendon earlier this week. She looked like she was in a lot of pain. Not only was she hobbling, but she had a grimace. So unfortunately, Angela Nath, she's put a lot of effort into this race here this year. Doesn't look like it's going to go her way. I cannot imagine her running a marathon today the way she looked just coming through on the run. She's an athlete we thought could be top 5 or top 3. So unfortunately, Angela Nath not having a great one, unfortunately, with a little mishap earlier in the week. We just saw Beth Walsh come through here. She had a good swim for her. She's about 5 minutes down from that chase group. So a lot happening. TJ, before you leave us today, I want to thank you for helping us out, but also predictions right now from what you see on that men's race that we were so close to there.
Sure, the men's race really did change in that swim, and with Frodeno out front, I think now it's possible we could see one man lead this race from start to finish. And I still think Andy Potts now just upped his chances a little bit with that time gap, and Sebastian Kinley, wow, being only a minute or so down from the front of the race is unbelievable for him. So he has the opportunity now to cement this thing on the bike, and it'll be interesting. Like we talked about before, that German pride really is on the line, and you're going to see these guys cut after each other, and really try to not only win this race, but to make sure they're the first German across the line.
Thanks so much, TJ. Appreciate that, and we're going to go back to you guys out on the bike course, and I'll see you in the studio in just a few minutes.
All right, thank you very much there, Matt. Our men's race right now getting shots of Andy Potts in second place. Jan Frodeno continues to lead the race at the moment. He's got a 37-second lead. He's already gone through 14 kilometres on the bike, or about 8.5 miles here. Andy Potts is around about half a kilometre behind our leader at the moment. Romain Guillaume from France has now moved up into third spot. Luke McKenzie in fourth, but the big mover, he was 143 heading out onto the Canyon bike course. Now he's into fourth place. Oh my goodness, Sebastian Kinley is coming. 121 down at the moment. Brent McMahon is also right in there at 121 as well. So these guys are really making a move early there, Mike.
I tell you what, they sure are, and just about as fast. He's moving so fast, you were in mid-sentence and he passed 2 people. He was in 6th, and that's amazing. We saw this GPS tracking brought to us by Quark, and it's really great to see that. We have that access to that information, as do you at home if you tune into our live tracker. But right now, really good pictures of Andy Potts out on this bike course brought to us, this coverage brought to us by Canyon Bicycles. And for your complete racing system, check out the all-new SpeedMax CF SLX at canyon.com/SpeedMax. Canyon Bicycles, Mr. Jan Frodeno riding that bicycle right now.
Now, Matt, sorry to cut in there, mate. Matt Hansen's had a little issue on his bike here at the moment. Unfortunately, they're trying to fix something that's happened out here this morning, and it does not look good. For Matt Hansen from the USA. He's the Ironman North American champion, where he won in the Woodlands, Texas here this year, and it looks like they might have been involved in an accident of some sort, but the handlebars absolutely snapped off here at the moment. So unfortunately, a very, very tough a tough ask right now, a very tough break, and it looks like Matt Hansen is now having to look for a spare bike and get one up and going here. This is a very fast left-hand corner here, Mike. It's a 90-degree turn, but a very, very tough one to take.
Let's remember that this guy's no stranger to difficulties. A couple years ago, 2013, he had 3 flat tires, had a bike ride that was just all day long, but he ran a really fast marathon. So we do know he has composure. Certainly this is taking out of contention for a win or a top 5 probably, but this guy is good enough on foot, and he's good enough as an overall Ironman athlete that he's not out of it. It just remains how quickly can they change the bike. I mean, I feel for the guy. You never want to see this happen at the World Championships, but a lot of racing still to be done. It's still early. If he can get those handlebars swapped, get on his bike, he may be in business still. But you know what? This is why championship racing.
Yeah, he just wanted me to take it to the road. He didn't have power or anything. So.
If that'll sit there.
You want to put a bottle on this?
If it'll sit there, let's see.
Yeah, I think it's between that and that rubber band.
You have any more zip ties? He's got some zip ties. Okay. Rubber band. No, I didn't. That doesn't matter.
It's at about 50 miles an hour if you really want to. but you have to feather the brakes, and you have to take a wide turn coming around this street as well. And I must say that this is the most congested spot in all of Kona with traffic. So there may be a little bit of oil on the road as well, and you have to be very careful. And as a professional athlete, you have to take every precaution that you need to do out there. So a right arm injury, you can see him holding that shoulder. He's going to be way back when he gets onto the bike. I'm not so sure if it's a great idea if he goes on or not. But hey, he's a tough guy, and he probably wants to prove to himself that he's a tough guy, and he's up for the challenge. But by the look of it, he might have done something to that right shoulder. He's holding it very tight to his chest there, Mike, and I think that it might be a collarbone or an AC joint or something like that. You know what happens when you crash like that.
Hopefully just minor, and we wish him all the best. And looking to the right picture again, that's another looks like close-up footage of Andy Potts, and we're anxious to show you more footage of this men's race. There's Matt Hansen back on the bike pedaling. He's still got to go all the way up and down the Kuakini. There's Heather Jackson about to overtake him, showing how much time he spent on the side of the road. He had a nice head start on her due to the 5-minute time gap for the men's and women's race. But Greg
and Mike, what about the crowds down there today in Kailua Kona? Absolutely massive, as we see them all down there today. So Tim Don, we've got Ben Hoffman in our lead group at the moment. Luke McKenzie's right up there. Luke Bell from Australia. Romain Guillaume from France. Eneko Llanos from Spain. Brent McMahon. We have also Andy Potts in second, and Jan Frodeno right up front. But I tell you what, Daniela Reef on our women's lead, she's not in the lead at the moment, but she's catching up to Jody Swallow. And I tell you what, it's amazing what she's done to the field so far.
Yeah, no, we've actually got, that is Daniela Reef, front of the race, right behind her, Jody Swallow, and then we've got Leanda Cave. So this is our top three. Reef took no time at all. She's still going up the Kuakini Highway. She is not even 4.5 miles into this race, and she has found the lead. She is just there. You can see Jody Swallow 12 meters behind her, but that is Daniela Reef inside on this first real significant climb of the day. Actually, I'm sorry, due to her speed, she's clearly coming down the hill. My mistake there, but she's coming down the hill on Kuakini. Absolutely stellar. She made up that time. Jody Swallow behind her, Leanda Cave, and I'm sure we will see that Mary Beth Ellis and company is still hot in pursuit.
Well, I'm looking at shots of, what Natasha Bardman used to do on the bike, Paula Newby-Fraser, and even, go back as far as like Chrissy Wellington, which wasn't too far, ago. And I think that Chrissy Wellington was one of those that put large chunks of time on the girls. In the first few years of her reign here at Ironman World Championship presented by GoPro, Chrissy Wellington was dominant on the bike in those first couple of years. That's what Daniela Reef is right now. And I think that when she gets out onto the Queen Ka'umanu Highway, these gaps are going to extend out to maybe record gaps today. I tell you what, I don't even know if Jody Swallow can handle the pace of Daniela Reef. And Jody is a great cyclist, as is Leanda Cave in their own rights. But Daniela Reef today, we've seen what she's done already this year, and she's about to do it again.
And I would certainly think that ultimately, too, one of those athletes that can keep up and would be inclined to take that pace would be Rachel Joyce. She rides the bike extremely well, exceptionally well. She was one of few women that kept with her, put a bit of time on people in the second half. But again, this is, as we see Daniela Reef climbing Polani out of the saddle, we can still look to the right and notice that Andy Potts is holding on to that second spot. He's got hard-charging Sebastian Kinley, who has now moved into third place, only a minute 10 out of the lead. That gap hasn't really changed to Jan Frodeno, but he has sure moved positions. And there's footage of him right there on the right, if you notice, with the green wheels. That is Kinley about to overtake.
I got to tell you, Mike, Sebastian has made a move. He's made a move away from the group, and he's about to overtake Andy Potts. Now Sebastian Kinley is 1 minute and 10 seconds down from our leader, Jan Frodeno. They have lost time. Sebastian Kinley has put time on Jan Frodeno, but Andy Potts has lost time, and the rest of the guys now are losing time to both Jan Frodeno and Sebastian Kinley. And here it goes. This is the earliest that Sebastian Kinley has ever been in second place at the Ironman World Championship presented by GoPro. And Sebastian Kinley now is in hot pursuit of his biggest rival here, Jan Frodeno. The two Germans about to be locked in battle.
Greg, let me just state the obvious. Everyone at home is just sitting here thinking these two Germans are going to do some damage because there's a rivalry between the two of them, and they also want to beat everyone else. Okay, understatement of the year, of course they do. But how exciting is it going to be if these two find one another this early? I mean, not even, it's probably going to be 40K in. We'll see these two connect, maybe 40 miles in. But certainly Andy Potts did not expect. He said, you know what, I put time on the field. I swam my best. I really got away. And all of a sudden, Kinley just passed me? What did he do? You just start to think, maybe my swim wasn't that good. But what we forget is everybody can get better, and Kinley did just that. Wow, did he swim good.
I tell you what, this could be okay for Potts. Potts ran the second fastest run time last year with the 2:48. Frodeno was the only guy that went 2:47, and Potts is sitting in a really good spot right now.
But Potts is not in trouble.
No, he's not in trouble at all. This is a good spot for him. Remember, this is very, very early. We're only an hour and 25 minutes into our Ironman World Championship presented by GoPro, but Kinley now is in hot pursuit of Jan Frodeno because he knows what Frodeno did in Ironman Frankfurt in the European Championship in July, and that was a 4:08 bike split. Not even Kinley could match that speed that day. He knows what Jan Frodeno's up the road doing. And remember when we saw Jan Frodeno out there early when he was looking around on Kuakini Highway and also, the Quinca Umanu Highway when he was heading back into town? Standing up, looking around, waiting to see if the other guys were going to charge up and join him at the front. He probably sensed that their pace wasn't as good. I'm not going to hang around. I'm going to lose time to Kinley here. I have to go. No allies. And so looking just to the left, that's great observations, Greg. And it's really nice. We've got that shot of Kinley. As we've mentioned, he's never been in second place this early. It normally takes him half of the bike ride at least. Similar thing happening on the other side of your picture there. That's Leanda Cave, 2012's Ironman World Champion. But we've also seen Daniela Reef, who didn't make it to the front last year until well into the event. So she's displaying that she has, again, a whole year's worth of experience. She hasn't lost an event since this time last year where she took second. So I think she's capitalizing on that much improved swim, just that giant confidence base. But nonetheless, looking at these women who are in there locked in with these front runners, there's Jody Swallow coming through and overtaking some women as she looks to push to the front. She said, you know what, I'm game. I will go. I don't mind going. And then she's overtaking her countrywoman, Leanda Cave, taking that second spot again back. We'll see a lot of back and forth, especially early in these first 25 to 30 miles. It's actually pretty easy. I mean, it really is. There's not a lot of wind. You can look at those bushes, the shrubs on the side. There's not a lot of movement. There very typically is no wind in the beginning. You get all the way to the airport, make the bend, the road turns a little bit more to the north, and you tend to see some wind in there. But really, for the most part, you don't have a lot of challenge other than some light rollers. So why you see this back and forth is because everybody's trying to find their rhythm, find that pace, find their position. It's not till much later that you're sort of forced into the position that you're in. What I mean by that is the legs don't start to dictate. You're still in charge right now of what your legs do. Okay, so let's look at these shots right here. We've got Sebastian Kinley and Jody Swallow on screen at the moment. And we can tell you that the weather today is going to be absolutely fantastic for these athletes to go fast. We're not expecting big winds like normal. So the weather out at Waikoloa, which they're approaching right now, 8 miles an hour wind out of the north, so a little bit of a headwind at the moment. They're going to come home with a tailwind as well. Once they approach Kauai, which is around about the 45-mile mark, they'll be only getting 6 miles an hour of wind at the northwest. But once they get up to Harvey, they're going to have an east-northeast wind at 10 miles an hour. So once they come back down from Harvey today, they're going to have a screaming tailwind, which is going to be not only great for our professional athletes for very fast bike times today, but it's going to signal that the age group athletes will have fast times as well. So there wasn't too many world records broken last year. As a matter of fact, Cherie Gruenfeld was the only age group to break a world record last year, and that was in the over 70s, and she beat all the women
70,
in the
74.
65 to 69 as well.
She'll probably do it again this year, Greg. She's phenomenal. Top top class. And again, we are right here on the Canyon Bicycles bike course here at our event, and we love watching what these athletes are doing. These two are our second place athletes on the road. We've got on the left Jody Swallow taking second place, as I mentioned, and then on the right, that's last year's Ironman world champion Sebastian Kinley. It's early. We're only an hour 27, hour 22 into this race, but it is exciting. It is good racing. You can see the women stringing out behind Jody Swallow. One thing, and we've talked about this before, I think the speculation has been there, the women's race has evolved so much at the front end. You're starting to have to make that group. You have to make that group. It is what we're doing now. It used to be, in the men's group, you had to be in the front there. Now we're seeing these women, you don't make that front swim pack, you're not contending for a top 3. So we see most of our contenders on the bike. That does not say that we won't see women like Heather Wertel and Rennie come up. Obviously, Rennie, she does whatever she wants when it's time to run a marathon. But it is an interesting dynamic change where we see starting the bike ride 6 minutes down, this pack can really do some damage.
Yes, the lead women just go past Honokahau Harbour right now. That's only 5 kilometres out of town. We'd like to join, we'd like to thank all the people joining us for our live coverage today as we get a full screen shot of the defending champion, and also for all of our athletes joining us from the Ironman Louisville today. Good luck if you're joining us from the race briefing right now. We'd like to say a quick hello to you, and good luck tomorrow in the city of Louisville, Kentucky. So Sebastian Kinley is in pursuit of Jan Frodeno here in the 2015 Ironman World Championship presented by GoPro, and he's all over the bike today, working very hard at this very early stage of the Canyon Bicycles bike course. And I tell you what, he's doing a very good job. He's never been this close so early. We're only an hour and a half into race coverage at the moment, and he's already in hot pursuit of Jan Frodeno. Now I tell you, looking at this shot right here, he's moving all over his bike. He's working very hard. And if we get a shot from behind, I bet you we're not going to see too many people right there. All right, so
absolutely.
Coverage today is brought to you by Canyon Bicycles, of the official bike course sponsor of the Ironman World Championship, presented by GoPro. For complete racing system, check out all the new CF SLX at canyon.com/Speedmax. We're going off to a break. We'll see you on the other side.
My motivation is to win, because to me, the feeling is just worth all the suffering. Every single day, it's that finish line in Kona, running down to be part of, I guess, a circle of legends of our sport. That's something I strived for. That's something I'm working very hard on every single day and thinking about every moment, whether I'm motivated or not motivated. It's something that really pushes me to go to my limits, sometimes beyond my limits. And, that's the big magic to find exactly where that is. It's every day. And that's very much what triathlon is about. It's consistency, working in small steps towards a big goal. I guess there's baby steps to every victory, and everybody has their small goals, and that's the unique thing about triathlon, is that the professional athlete is so connected to the amateur athlete. The goal of an amateur athlete may be very closely connected to what I do, to what my fellow professional athletes do. It's just to get the most out of yourself, to go push yourself as hard as you can for as long as you can, whether it's an 8-hour day, whether it's a 12-hour day, or maybe it's only a 3-hour day in an Olympic distance race. It's really individual, but I think it's something that everybody who does the sport can relate to, and that's what's unique about it. Especially in the Ironman distance, cycling is a huge part. It's the biggest part of the race in terms of time. And aerodynamics are a huge thing that comes into it. And that almost gives you the chance to be your own Formula One team. Because there are so many little tweaks and so many little possibilities that you can make that actually make a difference. That not only in a science lab could make you faster, but if you're out on the road do make you faster. And yeah, it brings out the little kid in me where I love going to the wind tunnel and testing and getting ideas. And it's really, yeah, the technical perspective that brings a smile to my face.
The Women for Tri board is 12 women working with Ironman and Lifetime Fitness, and our mission statement is to increase women's participation in the sport of triathlon, to encourage women to lead a healthier and more active lifestyle. And we feel by providing ways to break down some of the barriers that stop women from feeling like they can do this sport. By example, we can show them that this is something they can do, that the everyday woman, mother, wife can get out there and participate.
Dear fashionistas, athletes, ballerinas, and first responders, we're honored that our fibers have your backs and arms and legs, and heels and toes. We are Coke.
Life should be enjoyed in comfort, with stability, all beginning with the shoes on our feet. The simple solution is just a download away. The Soles app makes it easy to create custom 3D printed insoles that are designed to the uniqueness of each individual foot. Soles Flex offers the support and pain relief in a custom insole that allows you to enjoy life the way it was meant to be. Wear soles and be unstoppable.
Hi, I'm Daniela Reef and you're watching Ironman Live.
2015 Ironman partners include Roca, Find Faster, GoPro, Be a Hero, and Memorial Hermann, Advancing Health. Welcome back to the 2015 Ironman World Championship presented by GoPro. Hope you're enjoying this exclusive live coverage of this year's event, and out on the Canyon Bikes bike course at the moment we can see that a lot of our big hitters are coming to the front right now. Caroline Steffen decides to overtake Jody Swallow from Great Britain right now. So Steffen, she's been a perennial podium finisher here is really suiting, an aggressive style of riding as we welcome Matt Liotta back into the studio. How are you, Matt?
Thanks so much, Greg. Doing great, man. Different athletes. We know Carolyn Steffen is a great cyclist and a very fast mover through the field, but watching her ride through that field, she's so comfortable. You can see her say something to Jody, maybe an encouragement that she wants to work together, but her mouth was very relaxed and calm. You could tell she's working hard, but she's very smooth. Her upper body's not working overly hard, so she's contained and moving through that field, not working above what she's capable of. So they've got quite two fast ladies at the front of the race right now.
Yeah, exactly. And, the weather, we've talked about it. It's going to be a great day for the athletes. It's going to be pretty hot and humid out there. A very, very small chance of a little bit of rain up at Harvey and maybe at the back end of the race. We're going to have some tailwind coming back in. So we did actually get some predictions of bike times today, but we'll get to those in just a moment, Matt, as we see age groupers now. All of our men and women just coming out of the water. Then we had our age group men starting out at 6:55 this morning. And at 7:10, we had 27% of our field today, our age group women, getting a chance to start their race as we get a little bit of water in the air.
Yeah, right. Well, as we were out, we had a little update from the field. We've had a few crashes here today. It sounds like Leanda Cave also went down right outside of the airport. She hit a bump on the road and crashed. We don't really have any information as to what condition she's in. We're going to hope that she's fine and she's able to carry on today, but Leanda Cave did go down on the bike ride today. So unfortunate for her, and we're going to hope for the best. But right now, that women's race, we have Daniela Reif, Jody Swallow, and Carolyn Steffen really pushing the pace. Right now we are looking at that downhill of Polani, now right out on the bike course on the Queen K. So the conditions, Greg, seems to be pretty quick so far. The athletes moving along at a fast clip. What are you thinking about bike times today, this year versus most years, like a tough year like last year?
Well, Training Peaks have given us the best bike split stats, and we can tell you that with more men at the front, that's going to take a big effort today to get away, but we can already see that Jan Frodeno and Sebastian Kinley have already done that. It was sort of predictable, especially with Sebastian Kinley's fantastic swim today with only 1 minute and 43 seconds down, leaving transition area today. We know he's inside of 1 minute behind Jan Frodeno. But amongst the women's, the tactics don't play as much, as a role into the ride. With a smaller group of select women, they tend to get more spread out during the bike ride and run their own races, unlike the men. So, but the predictions, they gave was Sebastian Kinley with a 4:21 on the bike today. Frodeno, they've given a 4:22. Yep. Joe Skipper, they said a 4:23, and Lionel Sanders a 4:26, and then Ben Hoffman, they're saying 4:31. I'm going to go out and say that Lionel Sanders is going to go faster than that, and so is Ben Hoffman. I don't know what Skipper's going to do, but Jan Frodeno and Sebastian Kinley are going to be at the front of this race for quite some time, if not all the way to the finish.
I think you're right, and I'm going to say right now, I want to say Ben Hoffman, maybe he fudged a little bit on his weight or his aerodynamics when they were doing those calculations, because there's no way Ben Hoffman's going to be that far off, certainly behind an athlete like Joe Skipper or Lionel Sanders. Daniela Reif, it looks like the prediction for her is a 4:52, 4:58 for Rachel Joyce. Carolyn Steffen, 5:01. Meredith Kessler just a minute faster than that. Right now, you did say, Greg, that the women tend, in the history of the race, they tend not to work together quite so much as a group, but right now we're looking, actually it looks like there's 5 or 6 athletes in one line, so unless they've gotten some of the men scooped up in their race, they're starting to group up. And talking to a few of the female pros earlier this week, they definitely had more intention to try to ride as a group. And again, back to the men's race, although we are looking at our women's leader right now. You said Sebastian Kinley was within a minute. He is within 1 second of Jan Frodeno right now. So those two German athletes are at the front of the race with only 30 seconds to a Luke McKenzie, 33 to Frederick Van Leert and Tim O'Donnell. But right now our women's race looking pretty tight. Legal distance, it looks from this perspective, but just in case we have some refs nearby, but the women look like they're riding nice and fair and in that similar group format that we've seen the men's race kind of adopt over the last few years. So right now, again, look at how cool and comfortable Carolyn Steffen looks as she rides her bike.
I tell you what, Reif is rolling right now along the Queen Kaumanu Highway. She's in in the lead at the moment, but she's being pursued by this woman right here. That's Caroline Steffen, who was one of the girls that had the fastest bike splits over the last 5 years in this race, and she's looking to find the form that she had a few years ago. Rachel Joyce is also looking great. This is Jody Swallow now on picture right now from the UK. She also looks fantastic. She was our swim leader today, riding along comfortably, already getting stuck into her nutrition, as you can see, stuck on the back of her bike right now. Also in that group is Annabelle Luxford from Australia, Camilla Peterson. Now, if we look at Camilla Peterson over the last 2 years, this young lady was involved in a horrific accident. She was in a coma for 3 weeks. She came back, and within 18 months, she started racing again as a professional athlete and finds herself now in 5th place from Denmark. Also from Denmark is Michelle Vesterby, right up there in the swim today. Liz Blatchford from Australia, and Leander Cave at 12 seconds. So it doesn't look like that Leander has lost too much time at all. So, you know, the adrenaline just pumps throughout that body there, Matt, as we look at Caroline Steffen right now, looking very good on a bike. Very much like Daniela Reef. These two girls are fighting their bikes right now.
Yeah, no, they look super smooth, and you know, we're looking at those gaps. You know, down to Leander Cave in 8th place, just 11 seconds down. Then we have a little bit more of a gap, but we see that the women are, Greg, adopting that philosophy of racing that the men have been using for years. That if you're around a group, don't let someone go. Do your best to hang with them. How do you think that's going to change the dynamic of the women's race, especially when you have someone like Daniela that is seemingly head and shoulders above a lot of her competitors on the bike? Do you think maybe the pace might be a little hot early? I mean, that's one thing in the men's race. You have to be trained to ride above what you're capable of holding and then come back down.
This is not new news. You know, this is something that's been going on forever, and I call it the Chris Lieto effect, your brother. And what Chris used to do was just set a pretty good tempo on the way up to Harvey, but once they turned around at Harvey, that's where the race really starts. Daniela Reef right now is riding well within herself. However, I think the other girls are riding a little bit above, you know, their capabilities at this point in time, and that's because they don't want to lose time to Daniela. But just let it happen. Ride your own pace. Allow yourself to run well at the end of the day. But Daniela Reef is finding herself at the front of this race. Absolutely no pressure whatsoever for her at this point in time, and she's doing everything that she set out to do.
Yep, and she looks smooth doing it, nice and comfortable. Right now, it doesn't seem like the conditions are throwing these ladies anything out of the ordinary as far as Kona goes. Looking down at the wheel set that she's using, kind of a mid-depth. You know, 10 years ago we would have said that was as deep as it gets, but that's kind of a mid-depth wheel set there. Again, in Kona, not able to use disc wheels or disc covers, so that's the wheel that she's running there, but looking quite smooth and comfortable. Greg, great news to hear, not only for the competitor, Leander Cave, but for the person. Good to know that obviously she's not, if she crashed, that we heard, she's obviously not injured and she's okay back on the course.
Yeah, that's great. And big news in the men's race is that now Jan Frodeno and Sebastian Kinley are being caught by the pursuers. Luke McKenzie is now 16 seconds down. The 2013 champion, Frederik van Leer from Belgium, is 18 seconds down. Timothy O'Donnell, 22, Brent McMahon, 23, and Andy Potts now at 27. Ben Hoffman, also from the United States, at 29 seconds. 9th place is Eneko Janos, and Romain Guillaume from France is in 10th spot at 33 seconds. So our top 10 in the men's race, all separated by just 33 seconds at the moment. Daniela Reef continues to lead our race right here, and as you can see, her cadence looks very good. She's a very strong rider, Matt, and you'll see her push this way the whole way through the 112 miles. She's a very strong athlete, and over the last 3 years, she has really matured as a middle to long distance racer.
Yeah, it's been amazing seeing how quickly she has progressed over this distance. I mean, you know, she hasn't lost a race or not won a race since here last year. So she's got you know, quite a resume as far as that goes. But so quickly she went from kind of someone that was not really known on the scene to a 2nd place, obviously here last year, leading a lot of the way, and then now to what I think most of the athletes and the industry people thinking is kind of the hands-down favorite to win the race today. And she looks like she's nice and smooth. She's, you know, Caroline Steffen is, you know, one of the most powerful cyclists in our sport, and it looks like she's definitely being pushed to stay at that legal distance behind Daniela. So Daniela looks nice and smooth, but the athletes behind her are probably feeling maybe a little bit more pain than Daniela is feeling. So nice, smooth effort for her. Looks comfortable on the aero bars there, moving her position around a little bit. Nice short grip that she has now, but those ladies behind her, it looks like still that group of 7 or 8 athletes right behind. And right now we see Carolyn Steffen. She has to make known that she's passing, so she moves out to the left. She has 25 seconds to pass Daniela. She's going to stand up, pass her, and it looks like maybe she wants to put a little bit more effort in. So maybe she wasn't really working as hard as I thought. She wants to go. She wants to go harder.
You know what? This is really good for Caroline Steffen to do this, because that's breaking the momentum of Daniela Ryf right now. And Daniela Ryf, she is the strongest athlete on the women's field at this point in time. Let's go over and take a listen to what she had to say.
Of course, my goal is to have another world champion, like the Ironman world champion title is it's my big goal, and it's from the Ironman series the only title I don't have at the moment, because I got the European and the world champion in the 70.3. So of course there is a bit of pressure, but also I think it's I'm here to show a good race, and I think if I can focus on that, then it's gonna be a good one.
So Daniela Ryf, the athlete facts on this young lady from Switzerland, second at the Ironman World Championship last year, presented by GoPro, 2015 Ironman European Champion. She's on an absolute tear this year. 6 weeks ago, she won the Ironman 70.3 World Championship in Zellensee, Austria. Absolutely beautiful back there. We had a great time over there, wearing number 102 today, representing Switzerland. So Daniela Ryf doing a fantastic job today, as we expected, Matt.
Yeah, no, she's she is what we thought she was, and she's a powerful athlete. And Carolyn also, I mean, when we have new athletes like Daniela come across into the race, people we haven't heard from, we kind of forget about these dominant cyclists that we had in years past. And Carolyn Steffen, she has the ability to ride away from everybody in this field, including Daniela on the right day, right? I'll say it. I think Daniela is she's human just like the rest of us. So Carolyn has the confidence to say, I'm going to do what I can, and if what I can is more than what they can, then I'm going to get a gap and I'm going to go for it, right? So great on her.
So this morning, Matt, when we talked about the weather, the guys and the girls right now are being pushed out of town with a southwesterly wind at about 6 to 8 miles an hour. Caroline Steffen's average speed has been 38.61 kilometers per hour at the moment. So it's been absolutely amazing. These athletes are really cranking along at the moment. And I tell you what, Daniela Ryf is right there at the same sort of speed at this point in time. So these girls are through the 41-kilometer mark of the bike ride right now. Caroline Steffen leads from Switzerland's Daniela Ryf. So the 2 Swiss girls leading out there. We've got Rachel Joyce, we've got Jody Swallow right up there, and Mary Beth Ellis from the US as well. So sitting in 4th place there right now is Mary Beth Ellis. But right now, let's go down to Michael Lovato, who's standing by with Diana from Souls. How are you, Mike?
Hey, thanks, Greg. I'm standing here with Diana Haas from Souls. As you said, Diana, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me. This is incredible.
You've got a front row seat, but first off, just tell me, what exactly is Souls?
Souls is a company that is literally fascinated with feet. I think it kind of probably borders on a little bit obsessed, but specifically we're focused on eliminating foot pain. And so we launched a flagship product that is a medical product called Souls RX. And it's been being prescribed by podiatrists, chiropractors, therapists to be able to eliminate foot pain and to solve for different pathologies using digital imaging and 3D printing.
That's really cool. And can you tell me just what the goal of the partnership is and how you hope to help the Ironman athlete?
Absolutely. So we have learned that Ironman is not just an event, it's a lifestyle. And we've been able to spend this week talking to Ironman athletes, their families, and their friends. And they are very passionate, driven, competitive folks that do this, but after they do this, they then go back to their families and to work. They can't just call in on a Monday and say, oh, by the way, I was in this race. And so what we do is we provide the Soles Flex product that allows them during the to recover as quickly as possible. So the product itself is perfectly fit to the contours of the feet. So it provides some support when the rest of the body is just kind of trying to relax and heal and recover. Your feet are still doing a huge amount of effort. So by having this support and this comfort, it allows the muscles and the tendons in the feet to heal and to repair quickly.
That's outstanding. And so your platform is Be Unstoppable. That's great. I love that. Talk to us about why you chose that platform.
Absolutely. So Be Unstoppable is our brand promise. And it's not just a promise to our customers, it's a promise that we have to all of each other within Soles. It is directly tied to our core values, which is transparency, innovation, risk-taking, collaboration. It's who we are, and it's the reason behind why we build the products that we build. We are very much focused on enabling people to move and to live the lives that they want to be living and to truly be unstoppable.
Oh, that's great, Diana. Thank you so much. It's awesome to have a partner like Soles together with Ironman, and we love what you do, taking care of our feet. So thanks for your time, and we'll throw it back to you, Greg and Matt.
All right, thank you very much there, Michael, as we get back to the live action here as the girls are now heading out of town. This is Rachel Joyce from Great Britain. Rachel Joyce from Great Britain right now, just heading out onto the Queen Ka'aumano Highway. You can see the helicopter over here getting wonderful shots. Rachel Joyce looks pretty good today.
Yeah, Rachel does as well as Carolyn Steffen in the shot at the moment, having a great race. We did get some updates from the field in our men's race. It looks like the front of the race did come together. So Luke McKenzie now in third place with, riding with Jan Frodeno and Sebastian Kinley. So that whole group is together. It looks like there's 15 athletes within 20 seconds of the front, and then a gap starts to open. When you see these gaps of 5 and 10 seconds, that's when the group's starting to split. So behind David McNamee, Igor Emirelli is 12 seconds back, and then the gaps start to open there. So the elastic is starting to stretch from 15th place on, but what you might see when an athlete like Luke McKenzie bridges up to the front, you might see things slow down just for a little bit. Things might kind of regroup and come together. So we might see it slow down, but right now it's it's up for somebody to kind of take charge on this Canyon Bicycles bike course in the men's race as we're watching Carolyn Steffen riding so smooth right now on the bike course.
Yeah, the only one that's missing from this group at the moment that started out with them was Rachel Joyce. She's now 1 minute and 12 seconds behind this group. She's 1:25 overall down behind the leader of the race, but she started out, right with this group coming out of the transition area, so she's the one that's, losing a bit of time. Mirinda Carfrey at this point is now down at 8 minutes and 20 seconds early on in the race. It's only early days, and we know what she's capable of doing, when she heads out onto the Newton Run course today. But the Canyon Bicycles bike course here is really heating up at the moment as we get our guys coming up over 50 kilometres at the moment, and our girls have already gone through 42 kilometres of the bike course. What's been impressive to you so far, Matt?
It's all impressive to me, Greg. These athletes obviously always going for it, having great days. But, obviously, I don't know if you could tell I was excited on the boat earlier. Sebastian Kinley setting himself up for a great race today by swimming out of his mind. I mean, he's never been closer to 3 minutes to the main field, the main group, let alone to the very front of the race, and he was within 2 minutes. So that was great. Watching all these women having this group and riding together at this point, having that momentum, that's impressive to me, and I think could change the dynamic. And on the bad side of that women's race, people we've seen have bad luck. We had Angela Nath not obviously in condition to race to her best today, so I know she's put a lot into this race. It looks like both defending North American champions not having their day here today, and I would say of any race that we have early in the year that could tell you that someone is capable of riding and running in these conditions, it would be the Woodlands. So I was expecting those athletes to have a great day today, and it doesn't look like it's shaping up to be that so far for them. But also Mirinda Carfrey being 8 minutes back. I mean, Welchie, if we talked before the race, I would say if Mirinda wanted to win this race, she'd have to be within 12 minutes off the bike, starting the marathon, and already 8 minutes down. Things are looking tough for Mirinda to defend her title this year.
Yeah. You know what? We looked at Daniela's splits as well. She did a 3:07 here last year on the run, and we know that she can run a lot faster than that. If she runs down near 3 hour mark, Marinda Carfrey is going to have to run a heck of a lot faster than that. We know that Marinda's good for a 250. She's run that twice. She has the world record for that here in Kona, which is absolutely amazing. But it's going to be too much if it's more than about 12 minutes today, and she's going to face a big deficit when she gets off the bike, because the way that Daniela Reef is riding right now out there, it's going to be gnarly. On the way back, she's going to drop a lot of people. It's going to be a bit of a death march on the way back for a lot of our women, as is our men's, because I think that Jan Frodeno, Sebastian, Kinley, and a few of the other guys are a little bit better on a different level than the rest of them. Well, up at Kuakini Highway this morning, up on the hot corner as we know it, it's a very dangerous corner there. Athletes are coming screaming down the hill, and they'll make that left-hand turn at a 90-degree angle. There was quite a few little collisions there this morning, and we did catch a couple of them, and as you can see, our athletes now coming up, they're coming out of the water here. These guys will make a left-hand turn, and there goes a little collision there, as we can see, as they just get a little bit too close to each other. There is a rule in effect out there for our age group athletes, which is, it's about 7.5 meters or so. So this is a previously recorded piece that we just wanted to show you this morning. So the athletes do face, quite a few challenges out there early in the race. And also Leander Cave, she crashed and hit a bump in the road while she had her head down. She fell down. She lost a little bit of time, but she's making it back up. So Leander Cave and also Matt Hansen from the USA.
Yep.
And what we know about Matt is this is the Ironman North American champion that he won in the Woodlands this year, Matt. Yeah. And, he's had a little bit of a crash. He spent about 4 or 5 minutes on the side of the road today, got a replacement bike, and he's back out on course. So now we get live shots. Sebastian Kinley has finally made his way to the front of the race here and leads Jan Frodeno from Germany, and these two are going to be locked like this for a long time.
Yeah, I think you're right, Greg. It's impressive performance by both of them, and they're definitely watching each other. I think they both feel like if they beat the other, they have a very, very good shot at winning this race overall. So what I think, we're looking at the men's race right now, also just looking at the women's race. These athletes are pushing a high effort, a good pace to start already. But Greg, I don't think we've seen their top effort yet. I think we're looking at Romain Guillaume. He's an athlete last year that mixed it up in the front of the race. I'm not surprised to see him do that again last year. A breakthrough race for him last year. I believe he ended up 10th place, but he had a great performance on the bike. He's a little tough dude. He's a small package, but really pushes on the bike.
Power to weight ratio here, Matt, is absolutely incredible. He stands no taller than 5'6", and he weighs in at around about 134 pounds. This guy is really, really powerful, and he's having no problem staying behind Jan Frodeno at the legal distance of 12 meters at the moment. Sebastian Kinley is leading, heading out to the Waikoloa area. This is typically one of the windier areas of the course at the moment, but we can tell you at this point of time, they have been averaging 44 kilometers per hour today. Their current speed is about 38 kilometers per hour. They're going up a slight incline at the moment. So an average of 44 kilometers an hour right now may see a bike course record today. If they get that tailwind coming back into town, the bike course record might go. And you know what? If we talk about a bike course record and Sebastian Kinley only 1 minute and 43 seconds out of the water, we have to talk about a course record too.
I think you're right, Greg, and I think part of what people overlook when they look at the bike course record is often, obviously, it's the strongest cyclist is going to have a chance at it, but frequently it's that strong cyclist who has a group with them for a period of time. So I think having Sebastian Kinley with these other athletes behind him, maybe somebody to take a pull every now and then, but certainly people to motivate him to continue to ride harder, I would say is putting him in a position to maybe have the bike course record. But I'll tell you what, you would think normally talking about an athlete like Sebastian, he would really want that bike course record. I don't think he could care less today. He just wants to cross that finish line in front of Jan Frodeno and all the other athletes behind him.
Just got a little report out there, Matt. It is a little windy, headwind, so the wind has actually turned around. It's gone from that southwest that was predicted this morning into the northerly direction. So that is the tailwind coming home that we were talking about in the earlier part of our show today. So the northerly wind has now kicked up 10 to 12 miles an hour. If that continues all day long, that's going to be absolutely wonderful for the way back. But on the way up, a little bit more difficult. This is probably why Kinley and Frodeno are at the front trying to push, but the rest of the guys guys are really tough right now, and I'm very impressed to see that a lot of the guys are still hanging in there.
They're hanging in there, but again, Greg, there's these little gaps of 3 seconds, 5 seconds, starting with Tim Don. After him in 10th place, you can see a little bit of a gap to Tim Van Berkel, 20 seconds back. So things are starting to open up a little bit. One athlete we're not seeing on our tracking, maybe he lost his little GPS tracker from Cork while he was in transition, but Andreas Rehler, from what I hear, looks very good and believe is in that front group. We're not getting data on him at the moment, but so that's a big name, someone who's been on the podium here, been very close to winning. And if he's got the run legs, if he can stay with this front group, he's going to be a danger man.
Oh, absolutely. He's no stranger to the podium. Second place, third place a few times. And I tell you what, at this moment, I'd just like to congratulate Andy and Julia, who are expecting a baby coming up in 2016. So congratulations to those guys. All right, one of our challenged athletes just coming out of the water right now, just putting on the prosthetic as they head out toward the Canyon Bikes bike course today. So we can see the challenged athlete there just strapping on the prosthetic there and running through the showers as he makes his way out toward the bike course as we speak. So the athletes here, 2 hours and 1 minute into our professional men's race, coming up to the 2 hour mark for our professional women's race, and we've got a steady stream of age groupers continuing to come out of the Roca swim course right here, and you can see a lot of our age group women just coming out, getting some of that fresh water. How important is that to get that fresh water over your body before you head out onto the bike course?
Yeah, it makes you, it's definitely more comfortable getting all that salt water. I mean, the salt is pretty thick here in Hawaii, so getting that salt off you might prevent some chafing down the road, but also makes you feel a little bit fresher. You'll notice that most of these athletes kind of in this time frame are going to take the time to do that, get a breath after getting out of that swim, get that nice cool water off you. The water temperature for swimming is pretty warm today, so that's going to feel good having that hose water on you as well. But we did notice the pros as they came through, not as many pros taking time to take a shower before they get onto the bike ride. But right now our amateurs, a steady flow. As you said, this is a period where we get a lot of athletes coming through in the swim, and then on this hot corner coming down Palani, a lot of athletes with this hard left turn. Everybody needs to be cautious. As we said, a few crashes here earlier in the day. Hopefully we can keep things nice and clean, keep the rubber side down, as they say, coming around this left-hand turn on Palani.
So we're gathering our intelligence today from Quark Race Intelligence, the official live tracking partner of the Ironman World Championship, presented by GoPro. And we can tell you on this wonderful system right now that we have Sebastian Kinley in the lead. He's riding along at 47.8 kilometers an hour at the moment. His average has now just dropped down a touch to 43 kilometers an hour. So they're going through a little undulating section of the course there. You can see that Sebastian Kinley is leading. Now, if you look out to the right-hand side, you can see the grass there, the desert-scape grass that you can see on the side of the road. You can see it's leaning toward them. What does that mean? It means a headwind. Now that's the village of Waikoloa that's coming up on the left-hand side. We've got our hotel area, and then we've got the village of Waikoloa on the right-hand side where you see those power poles up there. So this is the windiest part of the course that we normally talk about, because the wind comes through from the windward side of the island, which is the Hilo side of the island, the east side. Now, Mauna Loa and Mauna Kea sit at 13,700 feet, and they're right on the right-hand side of these two gentlemen right now. Now, what happens is that acts as a funnel. When the wind comes screaming across in between those two mountains, it goes right across the Waikoloa area, Matt, and you've been in this race before and experienced that wind. What's it like?
Oh, it's brutal. It's brutal. And if, we have athletes that are sitting at the legal distance and you get a little bit of a draft from that athlete in front of you, if you're sticking, we have the pot dots, as we call them, on the road. It signifies kind of the distance you're allowed to sit behind. But if you're getting a massive crosswind like that, it's not doing you any good sitting behind. So, if Sebastian obviously doesn't really care about other people pushing the pace. He's going to look back and see who's there, but he knows he's the strongest cyclist in this field, so he's going to continue to push. Right now, he knows that if he's hurting at all, if he's feeling any pain from biking, that the athletes behind him are feeling it more. But you add in that crosswind, or you add in that climb once we hit Hawi, that's when things are going to start to split apart. So right now we see little gaps of 2 and 3 and 5 seconds. Once you start getting into that windy section, especially on that climb, those 3 and 5 seconds will turn into 25, 30 a minute very, very quickly. what we notice here is, Jan Frodeno is pretty comfortable just letting Sebastian set that pace. Do you think we'll see Jan take a pole, so to speak, and come around and set it, or is he just happy to be with the strongest cyclist in this race?
You know what? I don't really know there, Matt. My answer typically would be no, because Sebastian Kinley has been known to be the fastest biker out there over the Ironman in the last couple of years. But what Frodeno did in Frankfurt this year with that 4:08 is something to be reckoned with. And if you want to know, about that race, I mean, he was in the lead from the swim, through the bike, and through the run, and he won it handily. But when you come into a world championship like this, I mean, Frodeno doesn't have to get in front of Kinley. When Frodeno knows that he's got a faster run than Kinley, I mean, Frodeno ran a 2:47 last year, and a Kinley, he ran over 2:50, but he won the race. And today, he's just going to play it by ear at the moment, and I don't think he's in any hurry to get to the front of this race. However, Daniela Ryf on the women's side has to spread the girls out, because she's not as fast a runner as someone like a Rachel Joyce or a Marinda Carfrey or some of the other girls. But I tell you what she's done today already, leading into the bike course, is really impressive.
It's very impressive, Greg. And one thing, you're right. She might not be as accomplished or have as many low 3-hour marathons or under 3-hour marathons like her competitors. But with these athletes that are with her, they're gaining an advantage from motivation and maybe a little bit of that draft from that legal distance that they're riding. But she's making those ladies ride maybe faster than they're used to. So one thing Daniela has, these other athletes might have confidence from riding with her, but she knows how to run off the bike being very, very tired and riding very hard. So, this tactic of having the group is great, but sometimes it can bring you out of your comfort zone and make you ride a little hard. And looking at the left side of the screen, we have that familiar shot of Sebastian Kinley at the front of this race. And he really rides like a cyclist. You can tell he's just going with the flow. He's riding hard. His upper body does move around, but he's just riding his bike as hard as he thinks he can over this distance, while trying to get the athletes behind him a little bit away from his wheel.
So the key to being a fantastic time trialist is silent hips. Look at his hips. There is absolutely no friction transferring into the back wheel down there through the ground at the moment. His cadence is perfect. His knees are lining up nicely, and his back is completely flat. Not every cyclist can ride in this position. This is a position that takes a lot of core strength, and over 4 hours and 20 minutes on this course to hold that, with the average amount of watts that he's putting out, takes a heck of a lot of training. And this guy has come to this race this year fitter than ever, and he's injury free. Speaking to his coach Lubos the other day, and he's excited to see him race.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. Yeah, I think that's great points. And looking at Sebastian Kinley currently riding 24 miles an hour, you're right that position. Not everybody can just jump into that position and be efficient and comfortable. And you're right, his hips don't move. But the part of his position that's kind of very impressive is that he's able to have his arms, his elbows pretty close together, but his elbows are actually kind of in front of his ear. So that makes him very low and aerodynamic. Most athletes aren't able to hold that position and then run well off of it. It's very hard to hold that extended position. So what makes him so fast on a course like this is obviously his power, but it's his efficiency, and it's his ability to stay aerodynamic as he goes through this race.
Yes, as we can see, Sebastian Kinley just going past the heliport out there at Waikoloa. We can see that now he is pushing a very, very hard gear. He's got a slight headwind as he's pushing into that at the moment. So just going past the Waikoloa hotels, on the right-hand side of their shoulders is the Waikoloa village. Kinley now gets up out of the saddle, takes a look over his shoulder, and what he sees is something that he's not going to be too happy with. He's pushing it very hard, and the guys are still there. Romain Guillaume remains in third place. Jan Frodeno in second place, but O'Donnell's still in there, Andy Raylert's still in there, Ben Hoffman, Andy Potts, you name it. Luke McKenzie there a couple of years ago, he was second place, to Freddie Van Leer. Freddie Van Leer's in there. This is an amazing race so far.
Absolutely, Greg. And as we look at kind of the splits as they go, same thing. Right at 14th place, David McNamee, right behind him, Cyril Venot, is the last athlete kind of in contact, and then we have a minute break. So these 15 athletes are pushing their pace. You know what? I don't think Sebastian minds too much. He might be annoyed that people aren't coming through and working, but especially after what we saw him do at 70.3 Worlds this year, he's okay not having the fastest bike split because he knows that he can run well. I mean, he had the second fastest run at that race this year, only behind Bart Arnouts, who has had the fastest run here in Kona a few times. So great work by him, and he's comfortable knowing that he can run even if these athletes are with him off the bike.
You know what? Kinley's one of the smartest racers I know. You look at this, he's had his nutrition in his hands now for about 2 minutes off the front here, just making sure that he's got his, his liquid calories I saw going in a moment ago. Now he's just washing it down with a little bit of water. Water went over the left shoulder, water went over the right shoulder. He's cooling his system down. So now that he's, going to keep that core temperature right there where it needs to be. You can make different analogies like a NASCAR race. You don't want the engine to overheat, or you don't want the fuel tank to be running empty or anything like that. It needs to be fueled. It needs to be running smoothly.
Absolutely.
So Kinley leads the race right now, but Daniela Reif is now trying to make her way toward the front and try and exert a little bit of energy and a little bit of pop into this race, because Caroline Steffen has been hanging around and doing a lot of the work and the bulk of the work at the moment. So Daniela Reif is now into the lead, 3 seconds down Caroline Steffen. Jody Swallow's right there at 6 seconds with Mary Beth Ellis, Leander Cave, and also Michelle Vesterby, Annabelle Luxford, Camilla Peterson's hanging in there, Liz Blatchford, and that is the top 9. Now Rachel Joyce, she's sitting back there in no man's land at 1:42, and then it is an incredible 3 minutes back to Dee Dee Griesbauer. So I tell you what, this women's race, you've got 9 girls right up there in the lead with Rachel Joyce.
Surprising, I think, though, is, having those 9 women all riding together at this point, but having athletes like Rachel Joyce be distanced already 1 minute and 45 seconds, I would have thought if there's a group of 9, she was going to be in that group of 9. She's not. Another athlete, I think we'd assume, because she's been in the front riding in a group here before, Meredith Kessler. 3 minutes down already. That's quite a gap for Meredith this early in the bike ride. So one thing we know for sure is that those 9 women, specifically with Daniela on the front, are riding very, very quickly, but maybe some of these other athletes aren't having their best days. As far as the men's race, we just got a few updates. I know we're looking at Daniela right now. Actually, Daniela, it does seem like she's spreading that gap right now. So the effort that she's putting in, what we have on the instant tracker is 3 seconds. That's quite a distance at the rate that she's riding right now. So she's starting to open it up.
Well, look at the grass, Matt. The grass is leaning over now, so that north wind is really kicking up. It looks like it's at about 12 to 15 miles an hour now. It was only predicted to get no more than 15, but they were going to be gusts. It wasn't going to be consistent. It looked like the consistency of it was going to be 10 miles an hour, but now looks like it's kicking up a touch.
It sure is, and it's time to get the stopwatches out because the gaps are going to start opening here for Daniela. And the question is are there other athletes that are in this group with that group dynamic? When you see a gap like this open, these other women are going to have to decide whether or not they're okay with Daniela to sneaking off the front, or are they going to come around an athlete like Caroline Steffen, who's spent most of the time in first and second? Are they going to come around Caroline and do some work and try to make sure that gap doesn't open up? But right now, if Daniela looks over her shoulder, she's going to get a little boost of energy and realize that things are going according to plan, and she's sneaking off the front of this group here. But man, she is. I haven't seen her really get out of that aero position. She, as you were talking about with Sebastian Kinley, she is very comfortable. Her hips do not move all that much. She's in a very aerodynamic position as well. And a lot of times in the years past, the women for some reason have been a little bit slower to be in these aggressive time trial positions. But now a lot of them are getting going into the wind tunnel, getting performance fits as well. And it's obvious that Daniela has found a position that is aerodynamic for her and one that she can comfortably sit in, because no matter how aerodynamic your position is, if you can't stay in your aero bars for most of these 112 miles, that position is not doing you any good. But so Daniela, she looks amazing on the bike here today.
Yeah, she really does. And, she almost looks like Sebastian Kinley. There's a little bit of an arch in her back, not too much to speak of. Her cadence is around about 5 to 7, slower than Sebastian Kinley. But now she's really, gone to the front and put the hammer down. She's realised that this is the spot to do it.
Wow.
If she did, do a little bit of recce on the weather and the forecast and knows about the wind, well, then, she'll know that she has to go. And now's the only time that she's going to get that really stiff headwind today. When they go up toward Harvey and back, they're going to get crosswinds today. So I think that Daniela knows that she's going to have to go now.
Oh yeah, and this is the time where those kind of gaps are really going to start to open up. It's when you have a world championship, you know that every athlete that's out here not only is good over the full distance, but they're all going to be very good for an hour and a half onto the bike ride. But where things start to separate from these really transcendent athletes is, once you're 2 hours, 3 hours into the race, the effort that was easy for you for those first 2 hours, you can maintain and maybe even push on, where those other athletes maybe were on the rivet, so to speak, and are starting to gap off. So amazing picture of Daniela right now. Before, we just got some information from the men's race that Andreas Rehler was indeed in that front group, so that's important for us to know. So that group was 15 athletes as well. Welchie, I think one athlete that's having as equal of a great morning as Sebastian Kinley in the swim is Cyril Vinot. That athlete was one of 3 athletes in the last 3 years to make the top 10 without swimming in the front group, losing 3 minutes. He now is already in that front pack. He's one of the best runners in the field. I believe he was 5th place last year. If he gets off the front of the race and gets off in the lead, this could be someone that could win this race or be on the podium.
Well, Cyril Vinot, he was the ITU long distance world champion this year as well. So we know that Cyril ran into 5th place last year with one of the fastest runs of the day with the 250. So we know that he can run right there. And like you say, he's only 28 seconds down at the moment. He's sitting inside of the top 20 athletes. So very impressive right now by the Frenchman. We can see that Igor Armarelli has also made that group, and Neko Janos, David McNamee, and Timothy Van Berkel. So let's have a look at our Quark leaderboard right here. We can see that Raylert has left his timing chip back in transition, so don't worry about that. We can look up there. Schrabo is there. You can see that Matt Hansen is way off the back at the moment, but right up there in the lead, if we just scroll right into the lead there's Vinot, there's Bushra, Rania is back, Twelsiq's way back at the moment, but right up there in the lead is Frodeno. Kinley is second. Potts is right there taking over third. Romain Guillaume from France in fourth. Luke McKenzie's right there. Timothy O'Donnell, Tim Don and Tyler Butterfield. Tim Van Berkel from Australia, Armarelli and Vinot. So we've got 20 guys up there in the lead group. You can see there that Ben Hoffman just a little bit behind that group at the moment, but he won't lose too much time to this group. He'll always try and be, well within that area.
Absolutely, Greg. And how cool is this that we finally we get this coverage where we have live tracking from Quark as where the athletes are on course. And the Quark guys last night told me that if the athlete is highlighted gray, that Ben Hoffman was, it means that he missed one little relay. So he's actually probably in the group. He just hasn't gotten information on a little bit. But it's great to see where athletes are inside of that group. We have that information on screen if you go to the website as well, and we can get their average speed and some other information on those athletes as they go through right now. But right now, it's obvious that they've made the effort and they're going up a small little climb here. Jan Frodeno riding at 20 miles an hour at the front of this race.
Yes, you're watching exclusive live coverage today here on Ironman.com. Right here on our live page, you can continue to watch live tracking all day long. Go into the athlete tracker, type in their surname or their number. You just have to hit enter. Then you will see exactly where they are on the course. Also today, we've got our leaderboards and also our live tracking. So just go and hit GPS. You can see where they all are, their average speeds out there on the bike course. This is the Canyon Bikes bicycle course today, and we're going to run off to a break right now. You are watching the 2015 Ironman World Championship presented by GoPro. We'll be right back.
I think life-proof cases are so popular just because of the versatility that they provide. So not only are they thin and lightweight, can go in your pocket easily for everyday use, but at the same time they can stand up to all the rigors of any of your training. If you're out running, if you're biking, if you fall down, you jump in the water. They're really durable, they're waterproof, drop-proof, dust-proof, all that kind of really good stuff that kind of goes into an active lifestyle. There are a couple of really great pieces of technology that we've come out with lately that really help athletes integrate their smartphones into their training. One of those being a waterproof battery case. So no matter what the elements are, you can take our free power case out with you, but it'll double the battery life of your iPhone 6. So let's say you want to go for a really, really long day of training, you need some GPS monitoring, things like that. That stuff burns through a lot of battery, so having that double battery life really helps. And then on top of that, we've also got some accessories now, an armband, a bike mount, a suction cup mount. So you can take that smartphone and transition from one activity to the other, and that it just all connects right seamlessly together. We are rooting for Andy Potts here on race day. He's a life-proof athlete, finished in 4th place here last year, so we've got really high hopes for him. But it's been a really great partnership for us because we're able to give him our products, let him take them out into the field, and put them through their paces. So you know, if it's good enough for a top-tier triathlete Ironman like Andy Potts, it's good enough for everyday use too.
And they may well ask, why climb the highest mountain? We choose to do things not because they are easy, but because they are hard. Because that goal will serve to organize and measure the best of our energies and skills. Because that challenge is one that we're willing to accept, one we are unwilling to postpone, and one we intend to win.
2/3 of our planet is covered in it. So why do nearly 800 million people suffer from lack of clean water around the world? That's completely unacceptable to me, and that is why I'm working on a way to solve this global problem. Like here in Sao Paulo, Brazil. By taking the polluted water we already have and providing technologies to filter it back into clean water. My name is Manny, Senior VP of Technology. We are Coke.
Seize the day. A solid foundation can boost your confidence, giving you the power to accomplish amazing things. That foundation starts in your shoes, and insoles that offer custom support and stability are one key. Soles Flex 3D printed insoles have been engineered to fit like a glove. Step into a new way of movement.
Our world is full of opportunities, experiences, possibilities, adventures, and activities that shape our lives, that help us learn, help us connect, and help us perform. Our technology is there from the start. Join us.
The body never ceases to amaze. All of the parts working harmoniously. At Memorial Hermann, we too are a body of affiliated doctors in renowned hospitals. From primary care to specialist care, we work as one to give you the best care. It's what makes us more than just hospitals. We are a body of experts. Memorial Hermann, advancing health.
It all started in 1987 with a pair of shorts. In a garage on Vancouver's west side, when a fashion designer and competitive endurance athlete saw a need in the marketplace for a better bike short. And so their quest began. It wasn't long before top athletes across the globe were seeking out the famous Vancouver bike short, and the Sugoi brand was born. Now we introduce our 60-day comfort guarantee. Sugoi's all-star collection of men's and women's bike bottoms for every riding and training need, all backed by this comfort assurance. We continue our patented approach to engineering the most comfortable, high-performance cycling shorts and tights. Sugoi cycling bottoms offer the ultimate in performance comfort. The apparel's premium fabric provides moisture wicking, breathability, and thermal regulation, while fabric compression keeps legs energized. Each short and tight is equipped with our industry-leading chamois, exclusive to Sugoi, molded and welded for superb fit, greatly reducing pressure. A triple-density foam pad construction. Pour-on foam under sit bones greatly increases vibration dampening. Die-cut holes provide improved breathability. Four-way stretch fabrics to move with the body, reducing chafing. Sugoi's flat seam construction reduces bulk and friction, and a multi-panel design creates a low-profile, contoured fit. So put in all the ride miles you want. Put them to the test. If you're not satisfied with the comfort of your new bike shorts or tights, simply return them to place a purchase within 60 days for exchange or refund. We guarantee it. Sugoi. Demand the best.
I'm Marinda Carfrey, and you're watching Ironman Live.
2015 Ironman partners include Gatorade Endurance, Train with What's on Course, GoPro, Be a Hero, and Ironman U, Knowledge is Power.
And welcome back to the Ironman World Championship presented by GoPro. I'm Michael Lovato. I'm here with Matt Lieto, and we are watching live action of these age groupers getting right onto that Canyon Bicycles bike course. The start of their day is just beginning. These guys, Matt.
Yeah, they sure are. You got a little bit of a bump coming out of transition. Give you a chance to stretch your back out, stretch your legs out, and turn left and do a quick little loop, and then an out and back and down Polani. So right here's the bike mount, just a little bit down the road from that. So the nice carpet we have laid out for these athletes. It's signed behind, says bike mount area. They got to make sure they get out of transition before they mount their bikes. These athletes getting on there as well. Most athletes with their shoes on, having their shoes in that transition one bag, and running through transition with those and jumping on their bike here in the bike mount area. So these age groupers have a long day ahead for sure, but no doubt they're excited to be here. A lot of work and effort and training has gone in to being here at the World Championships. And right now is that what we call the hot corner on the bike ride, is that hard left-hand turn coming down Polani Road, Michael.
Yeah, and that's a hot corner all day long, because later we're going to have runners going through here twice. In on the way out to the 5-mile turnaround, come back, run up Polani. So it's a really great spot for spectators. But you're seeing these athletes navigating that hard right turn up the climb. And then on the left side, we'll just touch in with these athletes. Our leaders on the day, the German Sebastian Kinley, Jan Frodeno. Scrolling back, we've got the whole bulk of the field there sitting in, riding very well, very, very strong. So here, this part, you know this course very well.
Yeah.
This is where you're going uphill. You're going to, obviously, it's a general trend uphill, but there's ups and downs. So clearly he's going a little bit downhill right now, and it's a very hard spot. This, I think, is where the race starts to get a little bit real for people, because you're looking at a couple hours into the race, almost 2 hours on the bike, and you've got to start doing these ups and downs. This is when you see people start to suffer.
Oh, absolutely, Michael. This is, if you're pushing your pace a little bit more than you're comfortable with to stay with Sebastian Kinley, who normally has 3 minutes to make up on you while you're, moving around in this group with these athletes in front. You're waiting for Sebastian to come by. He's been in front pushing the pace the whole time. So if you're able to stay with him, you're certainly stretching yourself quite a bit. So once you hit these hard sections of the course, where right now you see like Sebastian is behind this little bluff, he's protected by the wind, and these athletes, once they get back out, the wind will hit them pretty directly on that right shoulder and makes it challenging. I'm not exactly sure, Michael, are we before the turn to Kauai High to the left? I don't know that we're on Hawi yet. I'm asking because I don't know. I think we're not quite to Kauai High yet.
You're right, we're not, and so we are approaching that. So this is still Queen K Highway. You're
it's
coming
a fast
down,
section.
and it's a downhill. You're going to trend downhill. You're going to hit that T intersection, and you're going to make the left turn and then start to go up. But let's talk about this, because I think you and Greg made some really good points as far as who's sticking with the group, who's not, but who's riding too hard, who's not. If I look at these two athletes up front, and then I look at Daniela Reef to the women's race, I think one of the things that we've historically seen, especially in Kona, is the really good cyclists. A lot of people can ride with the good cyclists for the first 30, 40, 50, 60 miles.
Sure.
But when people start to pull away, when these guys start to really hit the gas, they do it later. They do it.
Yeah.
They don't, so right now we see these guys, they're hanging on to Sebastian Kinley. He's letting them. He's not going his hardest. He's not sitting there saying, I got to put the power here. He's going to put the power when he needs to.
Yeah, I mean, he's going to do, likely do a similar ride that he's done in the past. And have a steady pace. He's now able to know that he's in the front of the race, be comfortable. It's no different really riding than he's ridden in the past, riding his own effort. He's not normally in a group where the efforts are up and down, and sometimes that can throw you a little bit out of your game. If you're not used to riding with these surges, that can take you out of what you're used to. So Sebastian is doing the ride like he's used to, just much further up the road than normal. So right now he's gonna have a hard left turn, a 90-degree turn, and then then it's very, very fast descent, some bumpy roads, and then a hard right turn and a pretty steep little climb to start, again, with some holes in the road, a little bit of bumps. So if these athletes behind are on the rivet, Luke McKenzie is our 4th athlete behind Romain Guillaume taking that left-hand turn. If you're on the rivet as you go through this section, it could be, this is where the elastic could stretch a little bit. And these athletes, when you go up and down like that, things can get a little close. The athletes need to make sure that they're staying that legal distance behind. And if they get within that zone, Michael, the rule is if the athletes in front of you are equally spaced at the legal distance, you actually have to go all the way to the front. So if an athlete in 8th or 9th place right now makes a mistake and gets too close, they're going to have to not only pass 7 athletes, they're going to have to go on right past Sebastian Kinley. But right now, Sebastian's using that big gear that he has on his bike to get up to pace. He's not going to use a lot of watts necessarily to do it, but high RPMs to do so and stay in that aero position. And I bet he gets another second or 2 on this corner to make these athletes work to get that gap back, because Sebastian can ride downhill better than almost anybody in this field. We've seen it coming down Javi in the past.
And we'll probably see it again today.
Yeah.
So right now, this is a nice little downhill. You can see the gap from Luke McKenzie. He's got that gap opened up to Romain Guillaume. Frederick could pass, but he's choosing not to. It's a smart decision. I mean, again, in those opening 30, 40 miles, which we just finished, there's a lot of settling in and figuring out where your legs are and what you need to do. Right now, Luke, I think he's probably saying, you know what, I'm not worried about letting a little gap form up here.
Yeah.
When we do take that right turn, some of the work begins. And I think Luke is one of these athletes that's smart enough and strong enough to know that when he needs to make a difference, it's after the turnaround to Javi. Those are the getaways that we don't want to let go. That's where Ben Hoffman made his move last year, said, I'm going to jump this group. So right now, still too early.
Yeah, and I've talked to Luke the other day about tactics in this race as well. Obviously, he had a gradual progression through this race, finishing just a few places higher and higher each year, and then a big jump to 2nd place, and then a 15th place last year. Not the performance he wanted, but he said, in other years he's made the mistake of putting his nose into the wind too early. So right now, we talk about someone like Sebastian Kinley maybe not putting all his effort in right now, being comfortable with where he is. There are some athletes in this group that are doing the same thing, and I would assume, at least if things are going to plan, that Luke McKenzie is holding himself and waiting, as you said, till the moves need to happen.
And Van Leerde also.
Yeah,
I mean, Van Leerde is certainly capable. He made that break last year. He came off where he needed to, so he is also a smart and savvy racer. Having won the race, you just don't forget those lessons you learned. So that was the right turn. We're going uphill now, and I'm surprised you didn't pounce on me earlier, Matt. You should have corrected me harshly when I erroneously referred to this section as when we were out in the Queen K. But we're now on. Thank you for that. We're now on those rolling uphill trends. It's about now 16 miles, about 15 and a half miles from now until we get to Javi in the turnaround. So that puts us at about 45, almost 45 miles, about 44 and a half miles. The game will start to get very real, and this is when you'll look over and you'll say, who had to stand up over that hill, who remained seated by choice? A lot of cards can start to be revealed here.
No, you're right, and this is a hard section of the course. There's a lot of ups and downs. The main part of what we see for being the challenge on Javi is, when we make a few miles down the road, it'll kind of make a right bend, and you'll see the white caps off in the distance. If it's a tough day, that's when things start to get tough. But yeah, just starting Javi. And just for future reference, Michael, if I'm going to correct you today, as I've done already, it will be in the form of a question to make you feel a little bit better about it.
That's such your style, and I love it. What a nice guy. Looking to the bottom right picture, that's Daniela Reef. She's looking up the road, seeing a lot of empty road. I think anyone that she'll see, you're drinking my water, Matt, please stop. Look up the road, all she'll see is male professionals. She doesn't have any other carrot than male professionals up the road. Again, I'd like to just make that same point with Daniela Reef. She's riding, so last year where she pulled away from her company, who at the early on was Rachel Joyce and Mary Beth Ellis, she pulled away from them greatly in the last part. Right now, I would wager that she has still a nice reserve on her effort. Sure, she's putting a little pressure on here and there, but I'm thinking that she knows that her best chance of really burning some women's legs up is waiting to that second, or I should even say that latter 40 miles.
Oh, I think you're right. I think she's riding, I mean, you can tell, as we've talked before, with body position and control in the saddle, you know, she's obviously very, very contained and controlled. And if she was working at a zone that was hard for her, she might be looking over her shoulder to make sure that that work is doing something to the field. Right now, she's just comfortable riding a pace, and she's not concerned about how close or far back these women athletes are. And I can hear, Michael, out of my right ear that Lou Hollander, one of the legends in sport and a friend of mine from Bend, Oregon, has just gotten out of the water. So looks like he's made the swim cut, and Lou gets to go on for the rest of the day. And we see on the left side of our screen Sebastian Kinley getting a split from our spotter there on what the gaps are behind him, and the gaps are not big behind you, Sebastian.
Yeah, it's a nice little benefit, because what I was about to talk about too before that spotter came up, the whiteboard, is right now, by my viewpoint, Jan Frodeno has the power position. He's sitting there and he's letting Sebastian dictate the effort, dictate the pace, take the load, if you will. Sebastian isn't turning around to see where Jan is that often. He has to just do his thing, which he's comfortable with, but I think that the power position that Jan has is he can sort of learn from this guy who's won the race. He can sort of play his cards appropriately. He's not used to seeing this so early. So I think it's a really nice spot for Jan to be in. He won his race in Frankfurt very differently. Now he's sitting here saying, let me see what you do. Let me see what kind of power you put out. And I love the chest mass. I really do. He can sit there and he can say, wow, I felt a little bit better than he looked on that hill. All that stuff matters. Little nuggets.
Absolutely. But let's talk about the rest of their competitors. They know that these guys are racing each other, and they're happy to see, you know, nobody has once tried to come around Jan Frodeno or Sebastian Kinley. They're happy to watch these guys kind of gut it out, and Romain Guillaume has been replaced now by Van Lier, and he's moving himself up. That's an athlete. I call him, he's the metronome. He's smooth. He's even, consistent across all three disciplines, and he's going to stay in, maybe not put his nose in the wind until a break happens or something like that, but Van Lier right where he needs to be and in a good spot. But, Michael, do you expect to see an athlete come between Jan and Sebastian here on Hawi?
They're too tight. Well, actually, there's a 12-meter gap right there, so if anyone did actually come between them, it would be illegal at this moment, as you pointed out. But great question, great points, Matt. And with Van Lier in third place, they reference, most fans, most people watching from the sidelines said the best performance of this year was when he won in March in South Africa at the regional championship. Well, doing it that long ago, some people have sort of forgotten, but what I think is really important to note is he's had time to come down and reassess. He went to Frankfurt and raced very well, and now he's able to come in here a little bit fresher of mind, clearly of body, but he's in here now. A little feather in his cap from doing well in March, but he's ready to come back where he belongs in Kona.
Yeah, I mean, I think he obviously wanted to have a big performance early in the year at the big races, going to 2 championship races, but make sure he had the energy and the proper build-up to do well here at the Ironman World Championships this year. And, you know, we start to see, looking back in the men's field, right around 13th, 14th place, we are seeing these 2-3 second gaps. Michael, you know, there is an advantage riding in groups because you are getting a little bit of advantage from the wind, a little block. But as you said, with that crosswind, as Welchie pointed out earlier on the Queen K, and then this climb up to Hawi, now you're asking an athlete like Tim Don, Brent McMahon, Tim Van Berkel, ride your bike as fast as Sebastian Kinley can up this climb. That's then becomes quite a challenge. So I think once we get to that right-hand bend I'm talking about on the road before the climb kind of gets real, so to speak, I think we're going to start seeing some big gaps open up.
For sure, and that bend happens with 7 miles to go, 10 miles into this upward trend. Here we do have a little bit of movement. And again, a German athlete obviously coming through. That looks like Andy Betcherer. Let's get a number, let's get a digit, but to me that looks like Andy Betcherer, German colors on his white suit. Could that be Andy that just came through?
It could be. I think it's another athlete. Could it be the European 70.3 champ from this last year?
Boris Stein?
I think
it could be. So let's just, sorry folks, as we try and grab a number on that athlete, 34.
Yeah,
and
that's
so
got to be Boris.
that's Boris Stein.
No,
it's Andy Betcherer. So,
yeah.
Okay, that's what we thought.
Sorry,
this
Michael.
guy, no, it's fine. And I expected he just kind of waved his hands and said, what is he doing? What he's doing, Jan, is playing by the rules. You're allowed to move in if there's more than 12 meters.
Here we come.
Now we see Ben Hoffman. Again, right in our face, Matt. We just said we didn't think anyone would jump in front of these two Germans, and we were just told we don't know what we're talking about. I see right now Ben Hoffman in the lead. He's never been in the lead of this race before. He's in the lead. Actually, I think he did grab the lead a little bit last year in the marathon. He's in the lead right now. Andy Betcher, this is a power move. Ben maybe just trying to get his aid and stay out of danger as they go into an aid station. But Ben came to the front and just wanted to maybe make sure everyone knows I'm here and I'm feeling fine.
Yeah, and that's one thing when you get in a group like this. You know, everybody says, oh, it must be easier in the group. But you have to make these little efforts. Ben's pointing out to exactly what he wants. I want water. Give me water. He goes up first to make sure he's not caught behind in the hecticness. But also, it's very hectic. You know, you did see Jan Frodeno throw his hands up. He, you know, in that motion, he's thinking, this athlete in front of me, I'm sitting right at the legal distance. You're not able to slot in, but evidently he was a little further than legal distance, so good on you, Jan. And that athlete had enough space to fit in there. But when that starts happening, Michael, and I think, you know, I've been caught up in this in the past, is that when all these passes happen, you have to have this internal clock in your head. I've got to get out of this guy's zone in this period of time. I've got to get through this guy's zone in this period of time. So when you have multiple passes, that's when you have to do some efforts you're maybe not ready to do to make sure you don't find yourself with a penalty.
Good points. This guy's ready to make a move. It's last year's second place finisher, Ben Hoffman. He has opened up a gap on second place. We're guessing that might be Andy Betcher still. It's early days in the race, so we cannot make any massive predictions, but we can point out that this is going down very differently than anybody thought, very differently than last year. I shouldn't say anybody, but anyone that I spoke to. So Ben Hoffman, the U.S. American athlete coming out of Boulder, Colorado, he is doing what he loves to do, which is push the pedals on that bike.
No, absolutely, and that, you know, worth noting, Andy Boscher was not in this front swim group. He was behind, so he right now is having the fastest bike ride of the day, and seemingly when he caught that group, he just kind of gone straight through, and he has, you know, he'll be happy to see someone like Ben Hoffman mix up the effort from those two previous athletes that were in the front and put it through. And I would think that if you're Sebastian Kinley, you're happy to have the weight taken off of you just for a little bit, and watching other athletes maybe tire themselves. But right now, Ben Hoffman looks like he's in a great position. You know, he was a bit, some would say, out of nowhere last year with a second place, but he had what he needed the year before was a solid 15th finish at this race, and he had the confidence coming from that to get second place here at the World Championship. He's 5-time 70.3 champion, and I think one of the coolest things about, obviously, he has the coolest nickname in the sport, I think, the Hoff. So bib number 4 here today.